Chapter 1082 After all members awoke, or rather, after all members passed and became part of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, they were divided into several squads by their captain, Hein, and they stayed around the dragon eggs 24 hours a day. Sometimes one person, sometimes two or three, depending on their body size, each squad orderly conducted the unique trial of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, the hatching ritual. Wearing no clothes, the girls passionately, devoutly, or blissfully pressed their snowy and delicate skin against the eggshells. Most of them didn't know the true nature of this ritual, but it didn't hinder their wholehearted devotion to it. For them, this is both a trial and a practice. Everyone can feel the immense power that constantly cleanses themselves when they have close contact with the divine artifact. The bloodline power within the alien girls of the Leviathan faction continues to strengthen. The girls from the human camp have their physical constitution and magical power constantly improving. With the 3 original Divine Era textbooks, even the smallest dwarf girls learn how to endure longer in this sacred ritual. While this calls for a celebration, everyone is happy. There is only one person who feels worried about this situation, even unable to face it directly. This is unnecessary. No. You all got it wrong. I'm not a silver dragon. Still sealed inside the dragon's egg, Yunshi, who was being peeled off his flesh little by Meyer, looked at the many naked girls around him who seemed completely used to this ritual, with a troubled expression on his face. It's okay, Master. There are no disadvantages to this, right? Meyer said with a contented look on her face while performing surgery on Yunshi. This process is actually very painful. It's not like a feeling, but it's the actual tearing and pulling of his flesh with sharp blades. Although he couldn't see the wound, Yunshi could clearly remember how many times Meyer cut into him. Using a light blade called Starry, Meyer was accurately dissecting Yunshi's body as if she wanted to dismember him. Yunshi didn't know the principle behind this, but with each stroke of Meyer's blade, the pain was very real. Only when he looked at the girls around him, completely naked, could he relieve this indescribable sensation of pain. After undergoing surgeries for 7 consecutive days, Yunshi endured thousands of cuts, gradually getting used to this terrifying separation process. So, Master, it's almost over. Are you ready to start this trial? Master, the flesh you separated will stay in this dragon egg. They can continue to benefit from it until a certain critical point. This Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order is truly tailor-made for you, Master. Taking the final cut, Meyer breathed a sigh of relief. Next, she needed to rest for a while. As Yunshi's starry spirit, forcibly initiating the starry shuttle that one time didn't come without a price for her. For the next period of time, her main body had to temporarily go into hibernation. However, her transformed self could still stay by Yunshi's side, maintaining the most basic functions. You've worked hard, Meyer. I'm sorry, I'm still too weak. If I were stronger, you wouldn't be so tired. Yunshi felt very guilty towards the star sprite who had always been by his side. Master, I like you the most. Make sure to feed me cream bread properly. Meyer smiled gently, sacrificing everything for her master. Isn't that her mission? Ex-girlfriends and all that are in the past, now is the era of the Master and Meyer. Just you wait, even if you're incredibly powerful now, the Master will catch up to you. The blessings of the stars hold endless possibilities. Time has come. Ein. Adley. Inside the dragon egg wrapped in a white halo, Yunshi started sending messages to the sisters who were the only ones in the world who knew the truth. He is about to come out. He has many things he wants to ask them about this unfamiliar world. If there is anyone in this world he can trust, who will never betray him, it must be them. The Queen and the first princess of Sia Kingdom. Finally. Ein shivered all over in the Virgin Palace, with moist traces appearing at the corners of her eyes. 7 days, she waited here for 7 days and nights, and finally witnessed a miracle. Even though she knew it was today, she still doubted herself. This isn't a dream, right? The great Lord Silver Dragon is really going to show up. But the dragon egg clearly shows no signs of hatching. According to the book, the correct way to hatch dragon eggs, the time it takes to hatch a dragon egg is measured in years, especially for eggs without a mother. It's not uncommon for it to take 100 years to successfully hatch. Sister. Can you hear it too, the voice of Lord Silver Dragon? Adley happily twirled around Ein while holding her doll. Yes, only we can hear it. Ein once thought it was just her obsession with hatching the dragon egg causing hallucinations. It wasn't until Adley spoke up and told her that she also heard the voice of Lord Silver Dragon that Ein was certain it wasn't just her daydream. Now, let's go and meet Lord Silver Dragon. Spread the word, the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order will temporarily leave. It's time for me and Adley to have our own special time. Ein gave the order, and though the members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order training at that time found it strange, they still followed Ein's command and left the bathhouse. The authority of Ein was unquestionable to the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Even Miraz, who had different thoughts before, and Princess Heidi agreed on this point. The Leviathan faction admires the real strong. The power displayed by Ein and Adley is overwhelming. Adley has the highest dragon egg affinity in the entire Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, and is the only exception among all members who can withstand the ceremony for over half an hour. No one has witnessed Ein performing the ceremony, but nobody doubts her talent. The Queen of Nuclear Explosion, the leader of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, is truly deserving of her reputation. Thawed. 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 In a huge bathtub, Ein and Adley held hands, looking clean and pretty, waiting for a miracle to happen. Many fairy butterflies flew from the garden inside the Divine Era Tower, sprinkling fairy dust all around the silver dragon egg. The white halo slowly faded away, revealing the silver dragon egg covered in dotted starry patterns. The eggshell showed no signs of damage, but both Ein and Adley heard a sound. Hello, Ein, Adley. Chapter 1083, Lord Silver Dragon. Ein half kneeled in front of the dragon egg, with reverent hands clasped together. Adley also imitated her sister, half kneeling in front of the dragon egg. All the fairy butterflies from the Divine Era Tower gathered, dancing around the glowing dragon egg. In the sky filled with fairy dust, a shape made of starlight began to appear faintly. Pafu! In a voice of celebration, Yunshi felt his whole body become lighter, as if something was completely separating from him. Amidst the spinning starlight, Yunshi broke free from the silver dragon egg and emerged into this world. The pool water, filled with milky white magic, gently rippled in circles. The fairy butterflies cheered, flying and dancing in a beautiful display. Beams of starlight connected Yunshi and the silver dragon egg, symbolizing their inseparable bond. Silver strands of hair fell, reflecting Yunshi's current posture on the water's surface. It was a stance that was almost beyond human comprehension, extraordinary and flawless. Skin whiter than fresh snow, with a radiance that resembled the perfection of a delicate masterpiece. Pale silver hair, like glass, and deep black eyes filled with a bewitching charm, reminiscent of an abyss of enchantment. On the chest, there is a special jewel structure that doesn't belong to humans. It represents the highest symbol of love from Asha, the creator of powerful weapons. Clearly, Yunshi, who chose the mark of his former girlfriend, the supreme dragon god Asha, to suppress the marks of his other 3 ex-girlfriends, couldn't avoid the influence of Asha's power and underwent some unusual changes. The best proof of these changes is the transformation of his hair into silver and the appearance of a dragon jewel on his chest. Ha! Ein covered her mouth in surprise, looking at Lord Silver Dragon, who was quite different from what she had imagined. In this world, only she had witnessed the true form of the sacred silver dragon falling from the sky. However, the Lord Silver Dragon, standing in front of her now, was not what she remembered seeing back then. Specifically, the Lord Silver Dragon she knew was a majestic and regal female figure. However, the Lord Silver Dragon before her now was... it's Lord Silver Dragon. Unlike Ain, who had faced the formidable star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel before, Adley had no impression of the Silver Dragon. Therefore, she easily accepted Yunxi as he appeared before her. Children are always the most innocent and unaware of the need to suppress their desires. The moment Adley saw Yunxi, she felt an immediate liking towards him. Because this Lord Silver Dragon is so beautiful. Looking at his reflection on the water's surface, Yunxi was speechless. They escaped over a huge distance of 100,000 light-years, and even separated a part of their own flesh and blood to deceive Asha's tracking mark. But their bodies still suffered such a huge impact. Meyer used an incredible power to separate 1/5 of their flesh and blood to deceive Mumu Narabel, the star-hunting dragon. However, some of Mumu Narabel's flesh and blood automatically assimilated with their body. Equal exchange, it truly is a truth within truth. The silver hair, the heart, the precious jewel in the chest, and the flawless skin that doesn't seem like something a human should have, all belonged to Mumu Narabel, the star-hunting dragon. Moreover, not sure if it's an illusion, but he seems to have become smaller. Lord Silver Dragon. Adley ran up to Yunxi, hugged his shoulders, and delighted in smelling his scent. It's not an illusion, his body has indeed become slightly smaller, probably exactly 1/5 of a difference. Meyer's 1/5 separation, really not a bit more or a bit less. From a rough observation, it's like going back to being 14 years old from 16. Of course, when he was 14, he definitely didn't have the skin and appearance that went beyond the limits of the human race like now. Now, even Hua probably wouldn't recognize him. With a mixture of Mumu's perfect star-hunting dragon genes, he can hardly recognize the reflection of this silver figure on the water surface. As Supreme Dragon God Asha's most outstanding creation, Mumu is the most perfect creator-level weapon in the dragon race, the ultimate creature built to hunt down Starchild. After all, the core material used to conceive Mumu was the spoils obtained when 4 former girlfriends tore apart an unfortunate Starchild, the power of star souls representing the essence of the stars. Of course, this is also one of the reasons why Yunxi can easily combine with the flesh and blood of star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel. Only partial dragonization symptoms appear, along with an appearance that surpasses the imagination of this world, just a negligible side effect. As a result, Pafu, the pet that has always been loyal to Yunxi, also gained tremendous benefits. Right now, it is enjoying the convenience of its new home inside Yunxi's dragon jade, going Pafu. Pafu. According to Meyer, who performed the operation, this minor side effect is completely acceptable. However, for Yunxi, seeing himself like this now, he is truly speechless. Without any disguise, he now has mixed Mumu blood and flesh. Besides having a flat chest, he also has all the necessary weapons. He is perfect to the point that he can't even tell his own gender. How can he still be a righteous gentleman like this? Lord Silver Dragon. Welcome to our world. Ain looked at Yunxi with a complex expression. This figure, who seems to be around his own age, is he really the Lord Silver Dragon that he has been longing for? How should I put it, this flawlessly beautiful appearance and skin definitely don't seem like creatures from this world, but they don't have the imagined majesty and aura. She would never believe it if she didn't see it with her own eyes. This is the silver dragon that broke free from the perpetual imprisonment in Sia's world's atmosphere and fell from the sky to the ground. With a similar height to himself and that lovely and captivating appearance, it really makes him want to hug him so badly. Lord Silver Dragon has a really nice smell, and Adley loves it the most. Unlike the conflicted Ein, Adley says and does whatever she thinks of. She even leaned in toward Yun-Shi's ear and bit it on her own initiative. Adley, stop fooling around. Ein gathered the courage to softly reprimand her unruly little sister. Adley is usually a very obedient child, so why did she become so willful after meeting Lord Silver Dragon? It's so envy-inducing. Such a comfortable scent. Adley likes. Adley also gathered the courage to confess her crush to herself. That warm scent captivated the little princess's heart. She fell in love. Chapter 1084. I also like Adley. Oh, Yun-Shi pinched Adley's chubby little cheeks. Probably because he has been feeling the most of this seal little princess lately, he is also close to her, and then Ein. He could wake up from the seal so quickly, and the two of them and the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order they established have played an important role. Although there is still a very long way to go before hatching the dragon egg, their actions have indeed helped him a lot. Both love each other. Adley sweetly smiled and stuck to Yun-Shi's back without any concerns. The touch of those small petals suddenly made Yun-Shi's heart beat faster. Adley! An unmarried lady cannot do this. Ein hurriedly summoned her own platinum dress, blocking the graceful silhouette. If Yun-Shi still had the form of a dragon egg, or the silver dragon form Ein had seen before, she would not be aware of how embarrassed she looked now. Discovering that Lord Silver Dragon was actually not a female, a certain peculiar emotion awakened in Ein's heart. This completely unexpected turn of events left her at a loss, nervous and sweaty. By the time she realized that both she and Adley were behaving improperly, it was already too late. Everything was seen. I will never get married in this lifetime, boo-hoo. Even if she was the queen of a country and the only recognized divine-era forbidden spell warlock on the mainland, Ein was still just a 14-year-old girl. Why do we have to wear clothes? Lord Silver Dragon is always watching us, right? Adley looked at her sister, who hurriedly found a princess dress for herself to wear, and Yun-Shi, who also put on a white nightgown, with some confusion. In front of Lord Silver Dragon, she had nothing to hide, both in her body and in her heart. Or rather, she very much enjoyed being close to Lord Silver Dragon's skin, the feeling of being embraced, and even wanted to go further. The knowledge she learned from the 3 original Divine Era books taught the little princess early on what she should do as a princess, sister, and daughter. Listen to what the decree says. Listen to what my brother says. Listen to Dad. Is like having this kind of magic. Race is not a problem. Bloodline is not a problem. As long as your heart is filled with passionate love, you can surpass all moral constraints in the world. Be brave to fall in love. This is the knowledge that the 3 Divine Era originally taught Adley. That's different. Ein's little face turned red. Why is it always the pot that won't open talks about the pot that opened? She also knew that whether it's herself, Adley, or the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, they have all been seen through by the great Lord Silver Dragon. They had a natural posture, which was essential for hatching dragon eggs. Those who don't have a close relationship with the great Lord Silver Dragon can't become members of the esteemed Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. This organization was originally built on lies, but with the true awakening of Lord Silver Dragon, it has become a reality. Even if Ein now says that the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order is actually a deception, no one would believe him. The towers of the Divine Era are real. The sacred objects of the Divine Era are real. Even Lord Silver Dragon is real. The lies have been so skillfully crafted that they seem completely genuine. Sister, you clearly also like. Before Adley could finish speaking, his sister, who was shocked, covered his mouth. No. There's nothing like that. It's my honor to fulfill the promise with Lord Silver Dragon. Yunshi looked at the reflection on the water below his feet and sighed, completely unaware of Ain's blushing face across from him. The price, it was really too high. Ex-girlfriends and such, they are simply terrifying and unsolvable. His body became unusually unfamiliar, no matter from which angle, it was completely different from his original self. Humans, how can they possess such smooth and glass-like skin, as well as hair that resembles crystallized beauty in silver color? Even when covered by the white nightgown, one could still feel the presence of the sacred dragon gem in the chest, which originated from the core of star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel, the central device of the creation weapon. Pafu, 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 a green jelly-like creature, was happily bouncing around inside the precious gem, making joyful sounds that only Yunshi could hear. Even more amazing, through Pafu, Yunshi could feel the breath and heartbeat of the dragon egg behind him. It was telling him that it still needed more pure energy from young girls, and the more it absorbed, the stronger it would become. Compared to the difficult training that humans endure, where they can only sense a hint of power in life-threatening situations, breaking barriers often comes at the cost of one's life. As long as Pafu happily interacts with many young girls under its command, this dragon egg will continue to grow stronger. This is a trait that is truly enviable. The power of the supreme dragon god Asha can be seen through this, and it is a power that brings despair. As someone who escaped from the sealed dragon egg, Yunshi had a natural connection to it and could even share some of the egg's power. Phew! Yunshi took a gentle breath, and a lot of magic in the air naturally entered his lungs, then transformed into power through the holy dragon jade core where Pafu was. On the surface of the water, circles of expanding white ripples appeared, and the fairy butterflies danced gracefully, offering their most beautiful dance to the awakening Yunshi. The rigid body confirmed and further strengthened, now it became the true dragon clan's adamant body. The soft body confirmed, also improved one level higher, now this physique can even achieve flexible postures that normal humans cannot do. The seed of the battle god upgraded, the seed of the battle god already had perfect compatibility, eagerly welcoming the powerful essence representing the pinnacle of the endless god's domain pyramid for the dragons. Just from the extent of physical enhancement alone, the upper limit of this physique's racial value has already surpassed the sky. Maybe it can rival Yunshi's childhood friend, the invincible childhood sweetheart he knows. However, just the thought that this body only carries the side effects of a curse from one of his 4 ex-girlfriends, Yunshi cannot feel proud at all. The stronger the power of the dragon that this body can exert, the more it will deviate from the path of humans, gradually approaching Asha, one of his ex-girlfriends. Once he surpasses a certain threshold and even transforms into a dragon, it will be a definite death sentence. So, he absolutely must not use the power of the dragon's jade at will, and it's best not to even use the immense spiritual energy of the dragon within this body. In his field of vision, the 2 main missions about this world also made Yunshi awake. Chapter 1085. Just like the past star trials, this time, traveling through the galaxy to this unfamiliar world of Sia, corresponding main missions have also appeared. However, unlike the main missions Yunshi had accepted in the past, this time there are 2 main missions, each corresponding to 2 different camps. Sia's light, sword of the creator god Sia fell into a long sleep. Find a way to awaken this creator god's weapon by finding a way to restore Su, the divine sword of Sia. Core side mission, collect the fragments of Sia's divine sword, a total of 12 pieces, named after the 12 constellations, distributed in the corners of this world. Progress so far, 0 out of 12. Resurrection of Leviathan, the powerful sky beast died at the hands of Sia's divine sword, but its bloodline still permeates the land and sky here. Find a way to resurrect this legendary giant beast. Main task, gather the bloodline of Leviathan's descendants and find a way to awaken their ancient power. Current progress, Troll bloodline, Lamia bloodline, Mermaid bloodline, all combined with Su. Overall success rate, 20%. This is the main task that Yun-Shi-Su accepted after waking up from the trial of the stars, representing the two major factions in the world spoken by the Creator God. Leviathan the Sky Beast and Creator God Sword Sia represent the two ultimate powers in this world. Leviathan symbolizes life. Sia symbolizes wisdom. Leviathan's faction has the strongest ultimate creature, dragons. Sia's faction has the strongest god weapon, a god weapon forged from 12 pieces of Sia's shard. In history, the two factions once fought a decisive battle for domination of the continent. In the end, with the help of Sia's divine sword shards, humans obtained the crown of the continent, while the Leviathan faction retreated to the oceans. What Yun-Shi had to do was choose one main mission and complete the corresponding side missions. This was not an easy task, whether it was collecting 12 fragments of the Creator God Sword, Sia, or harnessing the bloodline power of the Sioux Leviathan faction, it would have a huge impact on this world. In the end, it might even involve the mythical legends of the two major factions. Creator God Sword Sia. Sky Beast Leviathan. In the eyes of the people in this world, whether it was the shattered Creator God's sword or the Leviathan giant beast whose remains had long turned into land and sea, they were just mythical legends that had disappeared long ago. Humans were the subjects of Sia's divine sword, trolls, mermaids, and lamias were the followers of Leviathan, and it was natural for this world. But Yun-Shi knew that whether it was the fragmented Creator God's sword, Sia, or the remains of the Leviathan, the sky beast that had turned into land and sea, they had not truly died. One of the common knowledge about the legend ranked that Cassina the battle god taught him was that the concept of the legend ranked had evolved beyond the physical body and toward the direction of divinity. Even if the body turns into ashes, and not even a trace of ashes remains, as long as the related legend is still alive, the existence of the legend ranked will not completely disappear. Only when completely forgotten does it represent the fall of the legend ranked. Temporarily killing the physical form of the legend ranked only temporarily defeats the entity of the legend ranked, it doesn't truly eliminate it. Perhaps it will take a long time, or perhaps many reincarnations, as long as there are still people spreading your name and believing in your existence, then the legend ranked is not truly fallen. Whether it's fear or respect, the legend represented by the legend ranked embodies this concept. It can be said that only by becoming the legend ranked can one truly open the door to eternity. All legend ranks will leave their own legends in the river of time in their own way. Before becoming legends, most of them were believed to be heroes, tyrants, kings. Advancing to the legend ranked further elevates their status, ultimately becoming gods, saints, demons. Whether it's a good legend or a terrifying legend, whether believed in or feared by people, it all belongs to the realm of legends. After going through the trials of Water God's world, Yun-Shi gained a clear understanding of the concept of gods, because he himself is one of the representatives of the Water God, the bride of Hydra the Water God. In order to cultivate his own little world and complete the final step of becoming a god, Hydra, who was already one of the fantasy species dominators, spent thousands of years until the fruit was ripe. When her colossal body rose from the deepest part of the sea, it symbolized that she had finally absorbed the power of an entire world and gained the strength of her own world. Although Yun-Shi didn't spend much time with Hydra, he was closer to the water god's heart than anyone else and understood why gods were born. Without a doubt, the Creator God Sword Sia of this world has also completed that step. Perhaps, the sword Sia, which fell into this world at first, was just an original god weapon, but as time passed, the people of this world began to believe in the legend of Sia's divine sword creation, and this sword has achieved a higher status. The current Sia is recognized as the Creator God of this world. In contrast, Leviathan the Sky Beast, which originally dwelled in this world, has become a colossal creature opposing the gods. In the battle between these two powers, this world has become what it is now. The main task given by the Star Trials is to directly address the essence of this world. No matter which main task you choose, you will probably have to face the final boss of the other main task. So, which main task should I choose? Yunshi looked at the opposing tasks labeled with different completion rates and fell into deep thought. The task of the Sia faction is to collect 12 fragments of the Creator God's sword, which are somewhere in the world. The task of the Leviathan faction is to harness the entire bloodline power of Su, the leader of the Leviathan faction. Judging from the completion rate, a fifth of the upper race bloodline power in the Leviathan faction has already started to activate Su, thanks to the establishment of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order by Ain. With the dragon egg formed by the flesh and blood of the star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel behind him, it seems like doing the task for the Leviathan faction would be more advantageous. But, is it really so? Yunshi will not forget how dangerous the dragon egg behind the star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel is. It is the mark of the supreme dragon god Asha and the ultimate weapon for hunting him down. The legendary Leviathan, the sky beast, looks like it has some mysterious connection with the dragon race. Maybe it's a special type of dragon. It's definitely a death wish to awaken this giant dragon. Chapter 1086. So, which side will you choose for Sia's divine sword? Do you know any clues about the Creator God's weapon? Yunshi could only trust the sister in front of him in this world. The Creator God's weapon, are you talking about those god weapons from the Divine Era were used to defeat the dragons? As the owner of the Divine Era Tower, Ain was well versed in these legends. Yes, I think I need their power. Yunshi straightforwardly shared his goal with Ain. There are 7 of them, with 3 of them taken by the Leviathan faction. Ain first stretched out all 7 fingers on his hand, then closed 3 of them. The ones taken are the Virgin's crown, the Lion's light gun, and the Libra's golden shield. That is the darkest history of the Divine Era war that humans don't want to talk about, and it is also the main reason why humans gave up their sovereignty over the ocean. The Leviathan faction had a huge advantage in naval battles. With the power of the Creator God's weapon, the knights who once repelled the dragon tribe suffered an unprecedented defeat at sea. The owners of these god weapons were all famous heroes, and the owner of the lion light gun even completed the feat of slaying a dragon. However, in that war, the owner of the lion light gun couldn't unleash the power of the god weapon and drowned in the sea, ending in great humiliation. After the Divine Era war, the crystal sword of Ares, the armor of Taurus, the mask of Gemini, and the jug of Aquarius became sacred artifacts of the magic dynasty. But with the end of the Divine Era, these 4 Creator God's weapons disappeared. As for the remaining 5, they never appeared in official historical records, and nobody knows who their owners were. According to the hidden history that I know, it seems that the scorpion's poison needle was once used by an assassin in the war. The other 4, there is no existence of even a hidden historical record, and it's not even known if they were ever brought into the world. Now, all of the Creator God's weapons have disappeared, and even the kingdom doesn't have any of them. As the last glorious inheritor of the Divine Era, Ain only inherited this tower that can only be opened by those with the Divine Era warlock bloodline. Creator God's sword Sia, a legendary weapon that has supported human civilization since humans stepped onto the world stage. Anyone who has possessed fragments of the Sia god weapon is a hero in the history of the human race. Even the mysterious owner of the Scorpio poison needle is known as the Assassination King, in the secret history recorded by the historian. Because of this, during the late Divine Era, the Mad Mages took most of these Creator God's weapons into the underground cemetery, and these ancient god weapons never appeared under the sunlight again. Even now, in the mercenary guilds spread across the continent, the task of finding Creator God's weapons remains the highest-paying and longest-standing legendary task. Whether it's the Kingdom, Empire, or Northern Tribal Alliance, astronomical amounts of rewards have been offered. Unfortunately, to this day, no one has found any clues to any of the Creator God's weapons. It seems that after the end of the Divine Era, the god weapons that symbolized Sia's world legends disappeared forever from this world. I see. Yunshi understood those people's thoughts very well. Even in the developing endless gods domain, any unclaimed original god weapon would cause countless people to fight over it, leading to bloody battles, not to mention the god weapon formed by the fragments of Sia's divine sword, which was a creator god's sword. Although Yunshi had never heard of the name Sia for this divine sword, possessing the name Creator God's Sword, and having killed Leviathan the Sky Beast, a body that could transform into a planet, undoubtedly made it an unparalleled divine sword. Anyone who obtains such a god weapon, even if they cannot use it themselves, will definitely not let go of it. Despite this, Yunshi decided to collect the fragments of these god weapons. The task for the Leviathan faction seemed very easy, but it actually concealed deadly dangers. The Sia faction's task was more than 10 times harder than the Leviathan faction, but much safer. Judging from the difficulty and trend of the task, it was evident that this constellation world chosen by Yunshi was tailor-made for him. It looks like I have to stay in this world for a while. This place is not like the dark forest and the dream trial world of the primitive dragon, but it is like the real world of the water god's world. In other words, the time here flows at the same speed as the endless god's domain. Ein. Can you believe me? After tidying up her long silver hair behind her, Yunshi looked at the queen in front of him with sincere eyes. You are my hope. I have many things I want to tell you. You are my Lord Silver Dragon. Ein's heartbeat kept accelerating as he stared into those black eyes, as if he was being pulled in. She couldn't resist this temptation. Maybe she had fallen since the moment she saw that sacred silver dragon descend from the sky with grace. Thank you for believing in me, Yunshi held Ein's hand. This hand belongs to a 14-year-old girl, as well as the hand of a queen of a country. It is small and very soft. Let's change the world together. Yunshi made a choice. Since there is no way to escape, then the only option is to become stronger. In order to survive the pursuit of his ex-girlfriends, Yunshi had no choice but to give it his all. This world is the starting point for his new journey. If it's you, you can definitely do it. I believe in you. What do you need me to do? For Yunshi, Ein gave him complete trust, even belief. Because in front of her was Lord Silver Dragon from the stars. First, become a prince, Yunshi's mind gradually painted a picture of the future. The selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order has ended, and all the underage girls chosen, sold, by the Kingdom, Empire, and Northern Alliance have passed this selection, leaving everyone astonished. No one could have expected that the selection of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, which was thought to be absolutely strict, would result in all members passing through such an unscientific event. However, even more surprising things happened afterwards. The Queen, known as Nuclear Blast Queen, announced a change in the succession order of Sia Kingdom's first heir. Princess Adley, who originally held the first position in the succession order, was pushed back, and another member of the royal family took her place. A prince who was never mentioned in the kingdom's records inherited the bloodline of the Divine Era Knights and suddenly appeared on the stage of the continent. His name is Ash. Chapter 1087. This significant news caused a huge stir and sparked countless discussions throughout the entire continent. The former king, hailed as the last knight of the Divine Era, never had any rumors. He and his queen lovingly raised Ein and Adley, the sisters, before dying in battle. It's hard to imagine that such a perfect knight would have a secret child. Moreover, there is absolutely no news from the mother's side, as if the prince appeared out of thin air. If it weren't for the declaration of Nuclear Blast Queen Ein, there would probably be people opposing it already. The first right of inheritance in the Sia Kingdom is the crown of the entire continent. Even though the Empire is very powerful now, with an army of magic armor that can conquer the entire continent, as long as the Sia Kingdom still exists, the Empire cannot claim itself as the ruler of the land. That's one of the reasons why the Leviathan Empire is willing to go to war with the Sia Kingdom, no matter the cost. Even though the empire's strength exceeds that of the kingdom tenfold, both in terms of population and territory, making it the strongest nation on the continent, how can such a powerful empire be inferior to others? Prince Ash, who suddenly appeared, had never been a part of the royal lineage of the Sia kingdom. Even though Queen Aind announced his existence, many people still doubted if it was some sort of trick. The Divine Era bloodline is not something an ordinary person can pretend to have. In response to everyone's doubts and questions, Aind simply smiled and told them that they would know the answer in 3 days. Inside the Divine Era Tower, in the underground palace group known as Aquarius Palace. The ancient palace, which had never been opened before, finally saw the light of day today. In the middle of the palace, there was a young girl holding a water bottle up high, just like the goddess of dawn, with a wide and open heart. The pure spring water, infused with fairy dust, continuously poured from the water bottle into a small pool about 10 meters in diameter. In the misty vapor, Yunshi combed his silver long hair, which he still hadn't gotten used to, and let out a sigh of resignation. Pafu, the emerald green jewel slime happily rolled and bounced in the pool, its soft body becoming even more elastic and powerful due to the moisturizing water. It would sometimes bounce and leap, making unknown sounds of excitement. "That's really nice, you always live so carefree." Yunshi lifted a handful of pool water and sprinkled it on his snow-white skin, as smooth as cream. "No matter how you look at it, I still can't get used to this body of mine. Besides not having a chest area, as well as the weapons I should have, this body is just too, even looking at my reflection in the water makes my heart beat faster." Splash! Splash! The sound of water falling, the sound of their own heartbeat, and occasionally, the cry of Pafu. Pafu formed a wonderful harmony in this quiet space, gradually soothing people's hearts. It had been 3 days since they broke free from the dragon egg. During these 3 days, Yunshi and Aind planned their roles in this world. Aind, the previously unknown illegitimate son of the Prince of Sia Kingdom, Adley's brother. Creating this identity was the result of careful consideration by Yunshi. In order to collect the 12 fragments of Sia's divine sword, it was necessary to have a public identity. This identity needed to be powerful enough and possess strong abilities to stand firm in this world. Although Yunshi felt a little sorry for the late king who died heroically, he couldn't think of a better disguise than being a prince. "Brother." By the way, Adley seems to really like Yunshi's new identity, immediately accepting it and calling him by that name affectionately. "Brother, is it really okay, Lord Silver Dragon?" Aind looked a bit strange at the time, blushing and completely bewildered. "Well, is there anything strange about pretending to be a brother?" "Brother! Brother!" Adley cheered, spinning around Yunshi. "If it means like this, I can do it too, brother." Aind bit his lip, seemingly summoning up great courage, and agreed to Yunshi's request. And so, Ash, the prince, was born in the Divine Era Tower. With the support of Nuclear Explosion Queen, Yunshi felt that this should not be difficult. After all, the royal family is a big family, and having one more illegitimate child wouldn't be a big deal. He needed a role to act in this world. Compared to being an unknown mercenary or a wandering mage, the power that a prince of a country could wield was clearly much greater. This point, in the world of Water God, played the role of White Emperor and also the prince in Primal Dragon World, Yunshi knows it the best. In order to find the legendary god weapon of the 12 zodiac signs, the fragments of the creator god sword Sia, being a prince can bring great convenience, right? Crash! Just as Yunshi was planning to find the fragments of Sia, the door of Aquarius Palace was pushed open carelessly. "Oh, it's really opened." A hearty voice echoed in the silent palace. "So this is how it looks inside, it's really great." This voice is... Yunshi was stunned, staring blankly at the enormous figure. The chief of the Troll clan, the strongest warrior of this generation of the Troll clan, possibly the first force of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order Saramanda. How did she discover this place, when the doors of the palace were clearly closed? Ah, someone there. Saramanda casually put down her god weapon, a heavy axe, and lazily stretched. She had just finished her training for the day and went to the divine artifact, but couldn't absorb any more energy. Feeling bored, she wandered around the underground palace group. By chance, she heard strange sounds like Pafu. Pafu, coming from the Aquarius Palace Hall, so she ran inside. The door was closed, and the stone door weighed several tons. Is this even a problem for the all-powerful Saramanda? Saramanda had never considered the possibility of there being the opposite sex in this underground palace. The Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order was indeed a group of young girl knights. In the Divine Era Tower exclusive to this order, not even a male mosquito existed. Here, even a butterfly is female. After going through the selection process of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, everyone here naturally had an open relationship with each other. The ritual of hatching dragon eggs gradually made these young girls accustomed to the unique training methods of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Taking baths together in the large bathhouse became a daily routine for the girls. Chapter 1088 In the mountains, there is a little lamb. So white and tender, oh my. Humming a tune she learned from somewhere, Saramanda took off her armor and revealed her body with golden lines. Although she had a huge body, it was not bulky at all. There were no extra lines. It was a body that could be called the golden ratio, symbolizing the glory of the Earth Child. Yunshi caught Pafu, who was still jumping around, and prepared to escape at lightning speed. Feeling the warmth of the young girl's skin within the dragon egg was one thing, but actually taking a bath with them was simply indecent. Don't run away, am I that scary? Saramanda grabbed Yunshi's hand, a little displeased, just like an eagle grabbing a chick. So tall. Unlike the impression from the dragon egg, when Yunshi had real contact with the troll young chief in front of him, he realized how imposing a height of over 3 meters was. At his current age of around 14, his head only reached Saramanda's waist. When he slightly lifted his head, he saw the immensely huge mountain peak, which made his heart beat faster. Haven't seen you before. Are you a newcomer who joined our Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order? Saramanda looked at the mysterious silver-haired girl in front of her. Humans mostly look similar, like little people to the Troll clan, but she had never seen such an exquisite and cute little person before. Her clear white skin, flowing silver hair like a stream, adorable like a puppet, even if she's carefree, you will never forget her after seeing her once. Wrapped in only a towel, she looks so deserving of protection, and what's even more incredible is that she feels strangely familiar to her. However, Saramanda dares to swear on her god weapon, Crimson Dragon, that she has never seen such a girl before. This smell doesn't seem human, does it? Saramanda crinkled her nose, lowered her head, and gently touched Yunshi's chest wrapped in a towel. There, in that place, is where the star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel's dragon jade is located. Even though there is a towel between them, Saramanda can feel the immense vitality, which is not something that humans can possess. What race are you? Realizing that the petite silver-haired girl in front of her is of a different race just like herself, Saramanda feels inexplicably good. It should be said that since pushing open that stone door and discovering the mysterious silver-haired girl bathing in the Aquarius Palace, her mood has been consistently good. Her wild instinct tells her that tonight is going to be a fantastic day. I am a human. Yunshi's forehead dripped with large drops of sweat. It's incredible, the scale, the volume, and the immense sense of pressure. It's completely different from the feeling inside a dragon egg. In every sense, they were the first of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Hey! Do you really think I'll believe that? Saramanda wore an expression of, "What nonsense are you talking about?" with your eyes wide open. This fatality is even stronger than that of a troll clan. Humans can't have such life intensity. Based on the selection requirements of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, it is probably a long-extinct ancient race. In the history of Sia's world, especially within the Leviathan faction, there have been such rare races. Due to their extreme rarity, one could say they all disappeared after the Divine Era ended. Unexpectedly, here one could still see one. It's truly as beautiful as the legendary fairy. No, wait, could this be a real fairy? Saramanda naturally licked and tested the taste. It was a sweet taste that made people want to taste more, with a certain irresistible scent for all Leviathan faction members. This is the same taste as the divine artifact located in the underground bath. Saramanda smiled and looked at Yunshi, who was extremely small to her, and couldn't help pinching his cheek. From now on, I'll protect you in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Come on, call me big sister. If anyone bothers you, I'll help you teach her a lesson. After saying that, Saramanda patted her chest vigorously, full of confidence. Yunshi couldn't bear to look at the sound of it smack. Smack, but Pafu curiously jumped out and voluntarily ran to Saramanda's huge mountains, happily rolling around. Oh, slime, you look delicious. Saramanda licked her tongue. The troll clan's stomach was famous for being able to eat raw and cold things, even mud when hungry. However, it is true that high-calorie and nutritious substances are better for the giant dragon clan when they charge into battle, and trolls love to eat all kinds of meat. When pushed to the brink without supplies, trolls will gather resources on the battlefield, becoming the worst nightmare of countless human armies and earning the infamous title of flesh-eating monsters. Actually, from a different perspective, if human armies fought for 7 days and 7 nights on a battlefield without any food or water and were pushed into a desperate situation, they would also eat. Trolls have witnessed similar situations more than once. Both species resort to desperate measures to survive, and when driven to extreme hunger, they must eat something. Trolls cannot understand why humans are so insistent on not eating their own kind. In the Leviathan faction, considering the deceased creatures as a valid food source is completely normal. However, nobody can bite into troll meat, perhaps because of the difference in worldviews. In fact, the troll clan is the closest race to humans within the Leviathan faction. They can even actively communicate and engage in trade with humans. Besides being 2 levels larger in size than humans and possessing an almost immortal physique, they are very similar in other aspects. What humans find delicious as food, trolls also mostly enjoy, mainly meat. Trolls also love to use various human equipment and weapons, especially heavy weaponry. In many ways, trolls are very similar to humans, so some daring human merchants secretly trade with trolls, exchanging food for rare minerals. For trolls, those minerals are just garbage from volcanoes, but for humans, they are valuable treasures. For the terrifying profits, human merchants are willing to do anything, even trade with ogres. Yunshi looked at the familiar Saramanda, feeling embarrassed. A 10-foot-tall underage girl was standing beside him, appearing completely natural, without a trace of defense. In this situation, what kind of expression should he show? Should he just smile, after all? Chapter 1089, Call Me Big Sis, Saramanda said excitedly, looking at the silver-haired beauty next to her with a determined expression that showed she would never give up. I should be older than you. Yunshi lifted his head and looked at an object much bigger than his own head, silently speechless. According to the selection criteria of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, all the girls here are under 18 years old. However, troll clan's underage girls are quite different from humans. In various aspects, it's all too big. Pafu, who was originally bouncing around on Saramanda's chest, suddenly stopped anxiously and made an uneasy sound. As Pathu's owner, Yunshi could feel the information released by this little thing. Danger! Danger, here, in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order's base, in the Divine Era Tower. How is it possible? This place is the innocent paradise of young girls, a secluded garden of the gods. What danger could there be here? Boz! Strange black spots appeared on the statue of the water pitcher in the Aquarius Palace. The marble sculpture of the girl was instantly covered in a black cloak. That black color clashed with the scenery here, as if countless black particles had gathered together, distorting the laws of the world. What's going on? Saramanda hugged Yunshi and jumped out of the bath, just like a hero saving the beauty. She then grabbed her god weapon, the giant axe called Crimson Dragon. Saramanda's instincts from the troll clan told her that there was something off about that black thing, as if she had smelled a similar scent somewhere before. Boz! More black particles gathered and landed on the once pure marble statue. The girl statue holding a treasure bottle slowly turned her neck and her marble body began to transform into something else. Curse! Yunshi recognized the true nature of those black particles. It was a twisted force that gathered immense darkness, carrying the breath of the abyss. He had encountered this kind of breath not long ago, and it was a being located at the top of the abyss. Could it be? Yunshi had a bad feeling. Ada! 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 More black particles enveloped the 4-meter-tall marble statue, forming a distorted silhouette. The treasure bottle that was originally constantly filled with transparent spring water turned into a strange weapon with countless free-floating particles on its surface, while the body of the marble statue girl put on a delicate and gorgeous armor. Dark black patterns spread out, just as natural and beautiful as the patterns on the marble statue itself. That appearance was somewhat similar to the ultimate form of the star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel, both being magnificent and incredibly powerful war tools. Aquarius. Countless black snowflakes fell as the marble statue, wrapped in black particles, raised the water bottle in her right hand, locking onto Saramanda and Yunshi. The temperature around suddenly dropped to -100 degrees, and the misty Aquarius Palace turned into a world of ice and snow in an instant. The black crystal was released from the water bottle and transformed into a sharp crystal arrow, shooting out. The target was none other than Yunshi. You will not succeed. Saramanda roared angrily, his powerful body shrinking suddenly, swinging his red giant axe and charging straight forward. Activate Saramanda's power. The exploding red giant axe splattered with sparks, upgrading to the god weapon, Crimson Dragon, smashing the deadly frozen arrow from the front. However, this was just the beginning. The marble statue dressed in a black battle suit came to life, with an unusually deep and cold gaze. She raised her water bottle high, striking a pose that resembled a goddess. Oh no! Yunshi, who had experienced a similar power before, felt his hair stand on end. He never expected to encounter this level of power in the small Aquarius Palace. This is a true forbidden spell, not those praised by Sia's world, but one that appeared in the primal dragon world. It belongs to Ice Dragon Zaka, and it's called the Frozen Thousand Miles. If the power brewing in that water bottle is released, it can turn the entire underground palace group into an icy world. There's no other choice. Even though I'm still not used to this shrunken body, I have to take action. Attack! He tightly clenched his right fist and stepped forward with his left foot. His spirit and energy reached their utmost limit in the blink of an eye. This is the power of the hard fist, like a volcano, like thunder, like a separation. Within this seemingly delicate body resides power far beyond the limits of the human race. Whoosh! More black snowflakes fell as over 30 frozen arrows were released from the black water bottle girl's treasure bottle. This is the prelude to a forbidden spell. The temperature in the Aquarius Palace further drops, and even the ceiling starts to freeze. With a surprised look in Saramanda's eyes, the silver-haired girl turns into a silver stream of light, swiftly breaking through the barrage of frozen arrows. She delivers a powerful punch to the black water bottle girl's chest. Crack! The sound of shattering marble mixed with the sound of twisted metal. The black water bottle girl, standing at 4 meters tall and weighing tens of tons, is heavily lifted and drops numerous parts. Her entire body crashes into the wall of the Aquarius Palace. This sensation. Yunshi stares at his fist, feeling rather strange. Even though he hit a marble statue, why does it feel like he broke through a metallic shell, pierced through the marble body, and finally hit some kind of living being? Is it an illusion? This is definitely not the cold touch of stone, but the genuine sensation of flesh and blood. Ada. Ada. Large black particles leaked from the wound of the marble statue, quickly repairing the huge wound and intensifying the concentration of magic in the air. You dare to harm my subordinate without asking me, Saramanda. The red giant axe spun and struck the recovering black water bottle girl, Saramanda, a warrior who never gave her enemies a chance to breathe. Ding! This time, the red dragon slash hit an ice wall, and the concentration of ice magic in the air reached an astonishing level. The temperature inside Aquarius Palace rapidly dropped to -120 degrees. This was a deadly freezing temperature where even a drop of water turned into ice. Fortunately, there were no ordinary people here. Otherwise, stepping into this palace would only take 5 seconds for the ice and snow magic to erode them, turning them into ice sculptures. Enemy. The injured black water bottle girl's battle attire became even more vibrant and lifelike. Chapter 1090. As the concentration of ice magic in the air continued to rise, the black water bottle girl gradually transformed from a rigid state to a more living being. Or rather, a living weapon of war. Originally just carvings on a marble body, after absorbing a large amount of black particles, they are now becoming visible, merging with the black armor. Originally possessing a perfect appearance, the marble statue seems to be constantly evolving in a certain direction. Yunshi is very familiar with that direction of evolution. Star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel, a creator-level supreme dragon god Asha, developed the ultimate weapon of war, combining the power of the stars and the power of the supreme dragon god. This direction of evolution is clearly not a product of this world. This world's technology and alchemy are far behind in comparison. Frankly speaking, without the interference of divine power, it is impossible for this perfect weapon of war to be born in this world. Yunshi has visited the world of mechanical gods domain once, and occasionally seen war tools called mech suits that are very similar to this world's magic armor. However, those weapons require the support of planet-scale quantum computers, and humans are unable to control individual bodies that require astronomical computing power. At this moment, it was clear that the black water bottle girl was evolving in the direction of Yunshi star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel, the ultimate weapon of the divine realm. These black particles don't seem to be a product of this world itself. Clearly, with Yunshi's arrival, this long-sealed world has undergone certain changes. Shatter. Saramanda swung the red dragon, striking the thick ice wall. The troll clan doesn't care about your civilization, as long as you are an enemy, they attack. How can a mere ice wall stop Saramanda's advance? Crack. A huge crack appeared inside the ice wall, and then the entire wall shattered. Saramanda's brute strength played its role, but the black water bottle girl behind the ice wall also completed her self-repair. Not only that, but the shape of her body also became softer, the rigidity of a marble statue disappearing. She became more like a living presence. That profound gaze was giving birth to something resembling wisdom. Without even looking at Saramanda, who had launched an attack against her, she fixed her gaze on Yunshi, lost in thought. Found, target. First sequence, command. The arm, longer than Saramanda, swung fiercely and slammed onto the red dragon. Countless black stardust suddenly erupted and washed over Saramanda's body. The freezing temperature, colder than -200 degrees, instantly covered Saramanda's hair with countless ice crystals. If it wasn't for the automatic activation of the Fire Lizard King's power, defending against this deadly cold, this punch would have turned her into an ice sculpture. Even so, Saramanda suffered the biggest loss ever, with her boiling blood almost solidifying like lava. Having taken the fire attribute power from the Fire Lizard King, her compatibility with the Black Water Bottle Girl can be said to be the worst. The bone-chilling feeling almost made her suffocate. Boom! Once again, Saramanda heard that sound. Like a storm, like thunder, like a volcano erupting, the sound was deafening. It shattered everything, destroyed everything, with a merciless attitude, trampling and crushing everything in its path. Even though she was only as tall as her waist, even shorter than the black monster on the other side, the silver-haired girl threw a simple yet violent punch, landing once again in the same spot. Countless cracks appeared suddenly on the walls of the Divine Era Tower's Aquarius Palace, resembling a dense spiderweb. The Black Water Bottle Girl's shell was shattered once again, pierced through, and her entire body lay in an X shape against the wall, with a large amount of black matter leaking from the hole in her chest. "Who are you?" Yun-Shi, who threw the punch, stood barefoot on the chest of the Black Water Bottle Girl. Saramanda couldn't help but admire the slender and delicate ankle. Ada. The Black Water Bottle Girl stared at Yun-Shi, who was stepping on her heart, with a strange look in her eyes. More black particles emerged from the void, quickly healing her wounds. Here they come again. Where do all these black particles come from? No matter how you look at it, they don't seem like anything good, with an obvious abyssal aura that doesn't belong to this world style. Did my arrival make this world become targeted by the abyss? Yun-Shi felt a bit guilty. This may really be the disaster he caused. Ada. Yun-Shi remembered this name, the possible name of his enemy in this group star trial. You have no way to escape. No matter where you hide, Ada will keep an eye on you. The Black Water Bottle Girl struggled to reach out her hand, and the finger of the previously marble statue touched Yun-Shi's hair. In that moment, Yun-Shi didn't know if it was his imagination, but he always felt that her eyes looking at him carried a hint of shock and understanding. Indeed, you are special. No matter who it is, we'll want to. Sorry, I won't become anyone's possession. Yun-Shi raised his bare little feet and directly stomped on an unnameable ball, squashing the main culprit behind all the changes in one breath. Pafu told him that inside this giant thing, only this thing is alive, and it is the source that causes those black particles to gather. Crash! Crash! The sound of the marble statue shattering repeatedly echoed, as Yun-Shi stomped on the core, causing the Black Water Bottle Girl to start crumbling. Originally, this is not her true form, just a test. The result of the test has already been perfectly completed. The target has appeared. The mission begins. Don't even think about escaping. Don't even think about being free. The abyss is always watching you. Splash! The black particles faded away like a tide, and the barrier of the ancient Divine Era Tower started to take effect. Soon, the cracks on the walls of Aquarius Palace were repaired, leaving no trace behind. As a result, even the Water Bottle Girl statue, which had been broken, returned to its original form as the tower's magic filled in the shattered parts. Pafu, Yun-Shi's pet, licked its snowy white paws and devoured the spoils, feeling completely satisfied. Puff, you haven't developed any strange preferences, have you? Yun-Shi grabbed the lively Puff and prepared to retreat. Wait! The towering figure of Saramanda once again stood in front of Yun-Shi. Wow, it's really big. Chapter 1091, Please, put on your clothes. Yunshi lowered his head, looking at his bare feet wrapped in a towel. Oh, why did things turn out like this? In front of him stood a girl, although a bit older, without a single strand of clothing, looking at him with eager and attentive eyes. At a moment like this, whatever he did would be wrong. Giving in to his inner impulse would be beastly. Resisting his inner desires would be even less beastly. It's not easy to be a righteous person at a time like this. Don't we usually train without clothes? What's so strange about this? Saramanda looked at the shy silver-haired girl in front of her with some curiosity. Even the most modest princesses of the Imperial Knight Order have gotten used to practicing in a natural state for the unique training of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. In this Divine Era Tower, there isn't even a male mosquito. Except for the Queen, Queen Ayn, even Adley often came over to practice with everyone. Why is he still so hesitant now? I am different. Yunshik shook his head, shaking it again. He is a male, even if he now has silver hair, fair skin, and delicate hands and feet, he is still 100% male. Regardless of when looking at a naked beautiful girl, the heart beats faster, the body temperature rises, and desires and impulsive behaviors occur. This is what males are like. Moreover, due to the presence of the seed of the battle god, which is filled with abundant life force, his desires in some aspects are probably even stronger than those of normal people. He already knew about this matter when he was in the primal dragon world. His first, second, third, and fourth queen. Ahem, that's too far. Let's talk about the present. He can't even look directly at Saramanda's huge mountains. Indeed, you are different. Surprisingly, Saramanda confirmed this. Humans, how can they possess the terrifying strength, speed, and explosiveness like before? It was something that even she found very surprising and made her very excited to try. Very powerful, this girl with silver hair is very powerful, even stronger than all the humans she has met so far. Compared to her, the knight who drives the human giant toy is just a joke. The Troll clan values strength the most, especially the purest strength that comes from within themselves. The Dragon clan can become the leaders of the Troll clan and recruit trolls to fight for them because dragons have stronger physical strength than trolls. Trolls with the ability to not die will not submit to anyone unless they are defeated. No matter what race you are, it doesn't matter. Come, fight me. Saramanda licked her lips and challenged with a proud chest. After joining the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, her strength has been continuously improving every day. After becoming the first member of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order to reach the hero rank, she couldn't even find a decent opponent. Before advancing, she could at least find the Lamia team to fight. Within a few days, besides Lamia Priestess Maras, who could give her a good fight, all the other Lamia were already defeated under her command. After advancing, even the Lamia priestesses who remained at the mortal stage were no longer her opponents, leaving her with no outlet for her energy. That's why she couldn't sleep even in the middle of the night, carrying her divine weapon Crimson Dragon and patrolling the empty 12-star palace, fantasizing about whether there would be any invaders. As a result, she actually encountered invaders, and there was an even bigger surprise. We don't need to fight. For Yunshi, Saramanda in front of him, along with the entire Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, were all allies who helped wake up his companion Su. In fact, they could be considered his subordinates in this world. It is not the act of a decent person to harm their subordinates. No, there is. I won, now you have to call me big sister. I lost, you can make me do anything. The Troll clan's worldview is really simple and plain. The winner is the king, the person who wins can naturally do whatever they want. Inheriting the bloodline of Earthchild, their way of thinking is just so simple and clear. Really, can't we settle this without fighting? Yunshi tried his best not to look at Saramanda, who was covered in blood, afraid of seeing something he shouldn't. That's right, if we don't fight, then I won't leave. Saramanda was getting more and more excited, and her cherry-shaped chest was getting hard and standing up. She had a feeling that her opponent this time would be a type she had never seen before. Perhaps, this would be the most important battle of her entire life. Well, at least put on some clothes first. Yunshi was also forced to do so. If they continued like this, something bad might really happen. Under his white towel, a certain part had already started to stir. After all, even a good person can still have impulses. Alright, let's have a good fight. Saramanda readily agreed to Yunshi's request and put on her fire lizard leather armor. Although it's not at the level of a god weapon, the hero-ranked fire lizard leather armor is already a very powerful armor and has high resistance against fire attacks. Until she acquired the prototype of the god weapon Great Axe, this was the most valuable equipment on Saramanda, and also her proud spoils of war. Saramanda, wearing the dark red leather armor, became even more confident than usual, her whole body filled with the aura of flames. Okay. Yunshi moved his wrist and tightened his white towel. Come on. Come on. Come on. Saramanda shouted 3 times in a row and patted her chest. Even with the fire lizard leather armor, it was still a dangerous weapon that could make Yunshi blush. Let's finish this quickly, otherwise we really won't be able to control it much longer. Yunshi rubbed his nose, maybe because he soaked too long in the hot spring, he was about to have a nosebleed. Cheers! Seeing that Yunshi hadn't acted yet, Saramanda couldn't wait any longer and took the first sip herself. Defense, counterattack, and all that are never the troll style. Attack! Attack! Attack again! Overwhelm and crush the enemy. The red dragon soared with sparks once again. Saramanda leaped up and struck an honorable heavy blow towards Yunshi. No fancy moves, this is the most violent and direct jump slash. Gravity seems to have completely vanished at this moment. Yunshi stepped forward with his left foot. Hoo! The compressed air entered his lungs and transformed into a hot flow like magma. On her snow-white skin, a hint of red appeared. Ha! In just one breath, she gathered the scorching heat like a volcanic eruption into her fist. The enemy jumped, and she unleashed the rising dragon. Chapter 1092. This was not a battle on the same level. Saramanda from the Troll clan possessed extraordinary talents. From a young age, she displayed extraordinary combat abilities, combined with the Troll clan's indestructible physique. Her racial value was probably beyond what humans could achieve. The Princess Knights from the Leviathan Empire had the greatest knight bloodline and heritage on the continent, but they could only face the furious Saramanda and suffer repeated defeats. The entire Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, the only ones who could truly rival Saramanda in battlefield, were the Lamia Priestess Maras. After advancing to the hero rank and upgrading her gigantic axe into the god weapon, Crimson Dragon, Saramanda had no opponents except for the mysterious and unpredictable nuclear explosion queen. Her strength was real and solid, she didn't need any magic armor because she herself was a terrifying war machine. However, her opponent was a monster even greater than that. In the dark forest, she defeated the green-skinned hippo for the first time and embarked on her journey of training. Inside the Tower of Massive Flames, she fought her way through countless stone statues, facing the power of a fake god weapon with her mortal strength. In the Water God's world, she was chosen as the bride of the Water God and confronted Shea Longness, the Sky Sword, a terrifying legend ranked. In the Primal Dragon world, she fought with the primordial dragons until darkness covered the sky and earth. The different level of her opponents made Yunshi never truly realize how strong he had become. Even without any external forces and without using the Star Wings, a divine sword beyond comparison, he had long become a true monster solely relying on the power of his own flesh and blood. The reason why he always felt weak, powerless, and had to risk everything to fight was because his opponent was really unreasonable. When he was still immortal, he had to face a third-order elite-level green-skinned hippo. After finally starting the cultivation path and obtaining the seed of power, his opponent immediately changed to an elite scion with a fake god weapon. In the next trial, his opponent was at a higher level, directly becoming a being called the Shay Alongness the Sky Sword that cannot be named. In the next trial, he obtained the Star Wings, but his opponent turned into his invincible childhood friend who transformed into a nightmarish primitive dragon. Well, if there was still a glimmer of hope in these trials, he was really punished by being stopped by his 4 ex-girlfriends in the world of the White Lotus secret treasure. He truly experienced what it meant to be desperate and face the consequences of having burned all bridges. Even though he had never even left the White Lotus sword domain, he ran into the guns of his 4 creator-level ex-girlfriends. It was like the protagonist in a game who just left the newbie village and was killed by the ultimate world boss. He couldn't defeat the creator-level powerful beings, no matter how he cheated. Yunshi couldn't even understand what kind of concept that was. Mortals, heroes, legends, and then creators. There are only a few of them in the entire Endless Gods domain, and Yunshi has almost met all 5, with 4 of them being his ex-girlfriends. Just like Meyer, my own star spirit, said, my past life was really a big disaster. With opponents like this as future reference goals, and with Hua Hua as my current stage reference, even if it's not good enough, I still see the Twin Witches as the benchmark of hero ranked. Yunshi expressed that he feels immense pressure. There is absolutely no trace of arrogance or smugness whatsoever. Rather, when Cassina the battle god mentor mentioned that his life is not long, he deeply resonated with it. With ex-girlfriends like these, it is simply impossible to live a long life. However, if it weren't for Hua Hua and the Twin Witches as reference goals, Yunshi's fighting intuition would still be very effective. At least, when faced with Saramanda's righteous leap attack, he easily counterattacked. Like a soaring dragon, his retracted right fist firmly slammed onto the sharp edge of the red dragon giant axe. This is not arrogance, but the toughness that his solid body exudes. With a majestic and domineering momentum, he directly struck down Saramanda's leap attack. In front of his ex-girlfriend, the toughness was as fragile as paper, but that's because their power levels were vastly different. Teacher Cassina, the god of battle, taught a style of tactics that was the top secret even in the whole Endless Gods domain in terms of utilizing toughness. Yunshi, who immersed himself in the river of time, understood the fusion of toughness and flexibility. Even 1,000 years later, he could fight his mentor, Cassina the god of battle, from the sky to the ground. The secret of toughness lies in forging one's body to the indestructible level of a diamond. Regardless of the extreme environments, it can exert 100% of its power. This is also the realm pursued by the red steel genre, to resist the god weapon with the power of the flesh. Like Redstone, a practitioner of the red steel genre who possesses some giant bloodline, they will not hesitate to willingly shackle themselves with great burdens. They travel through the entire Endless Gods domain, challenging various impossible trials. Now, what Yunshi is demonstrating is the realm that the practitioners of the red steel genre have always dreamed of. Indestructible. Simply heartless. When using the rising dragon technique with a rigid body, it becomes almost invincible. Saramanda's powerful and forceful jump attack, which also unleashed flames, was countered by Yunshi with a single punch, sending her flying and embedding her whole body into the wall. Just like the dark-haired girl from earlier, Saramanda was also blasted into the wall, embedding both herself and her god weapon into it. The newly repaired walls of the Aquarius Palace were once again covered in numerous cracks, resembling a spider's web. Right arm, broken. Internal organs, severe bleeding. Skull, cracked. With just one punch from the rising dragon, Saramanda was critically injured, and it could even be said that she was on the verge of death. Ahem. Ha. For a full 10 seconds, Saramanda saw nothing but red, almost completely losing consciousness and entering a blank state. Fortunately, the troll clan are the earth children of this world, the true descendants of the giant clan. As long as the physical body is not torn apart or turned to ashes, it can always heal. Sorry. I may have thrown the punch a bit too hard. Yunshi looked at his own fist, considering the difference in size between them and the quality of the weapons. He had punched with too much force. The outcome caused by this exceeded his imagination. Perhaps using a softer punch against nothing would have been more appropriate. Compared to the previous trial world, the average strength in Sia's world seems a little low, doesn't it? What kind of attack is this? Saramanda shook her head and struggled to jump down from the wall. Heartbeat, continuously speeding up. Blood, boiling more and more. Although she was being ruthlessly beaten, punched to the point of gasping for breath, why was she so excited? This feeling is just too amazing. Chapter 1093, It doesn't hurt at all. This level, for a troll, it's just a drizzle. Even though she was bleeding from 7 wounds, Saramanda appeared completely unconcerned. Is it like this? Yunshi looked at Saramanda, who stood up unsteadily, with some doubt in his eyes. He stamped his feet a few times and forcefully corrected her twisted joints. The troll clan's racial talent is really extraordinary. Of course, it was because Yunshi knew about the troll clan's talent for something similar to immortality that he unleashed the Fist of Steel. If it had been someone else, that rising dragon move would have completely emptied their health bar. Phew, all right. Saramanda, with a calm expression, forcibly reattached her broken rib and once again tightened her divine weapon, Crimson Dragon. She didn't even realize how she lost just now. After one rising dragon strike, her vision went blank. Did she actually send herself flying with a punch? Does that petite body really possess terrifying power like that of a giant dragon? In Sia's world, there are only a few races that are stronger than trolls. Lamia is one of them, and she can defeat trolls in close combat with her super fast and powerful continuous strikes. Saramanda has never encountered an enemy strong enough to knock her down with just one punch in her entire life. Even the Leviathan Empire's magic armor, which is taller than 7 meters and made entirely of steel, cannot achieve this. The troll clan won't be defeated by the same move twice. Saramanda, who has learned from her mistakes, charges towards Yunshi with determination and caution. Since jumping would get her instantly knocked down, she decides to charge straight ahead instead. In the Divine Era War, the trolls' fierce charges were one of the biggest nightmares for human armies. The divine weapon Crimson Dragon, along with Saramanda's own weight, exceeds 1 ton and has unmatched mobility compared to magic armor. When she starts her charge, it feels like she transforms into a war beast, roaring and ready to crush everything in her path. Oh! Saramanda's enraged roar would probably shake the entire underground palace group if they weren't in the enclosed Aquarius Palace. Yunshi did the basic move of the battle god genre hard fish training, where he pulled back his bow step. This stance allowed him to unleash a series of tactics. The sound around him became louder and more spirited as he breathed. The sound was his own heartbeat and the flowing of his blood, like a grand symphony woven by a gigantic bell and a river. He took a step forward and punched. A scorched mark appeared on the ground, hard to imagine that it was made by the small, white foot, leaving such a trace. Even the sound couldn't keep up with the trajectory of his punch. Saramanda was only halfway through her charge and just about to unleash her full power when Yunshi's fist arrived. Ha! Once again, Saramanda saw nothing but blankness, feeling dizzy. Boom! Another decoration named Saramanda appeared on the wall of the Aquarius Palace. There were no fancy moves, just a step forward and a punch. It was like a lightning-fast, straight-line attack. Yunshi's fist of steel had a speed faster than the normal fist of steel and a more precise strike point. Saramanda's charge was forcefully interrupted before reaching its highest speed, and then she was sent flying. Ha! Ha! Saramanda's heartbeat completely stopped for more than 10 seconds, accompanied by intense gasping, similar to a windmill, before the blackout finally ended. What happened? Was I hit? How did I get hit? Where was I hit? What am I doing? After the blood circulation in her head stopped for more than 15 seconds, Saramanda struggled to lift her head. This time, the signs of dying were even stronger than before. In fact, an ordinary person would have already died. Cough. Spitting blood, about 4 ribs broke, and the heartbeat became really messy. Perhaps a bone pierced into the area around the heart. Are you okay? Yunshi walked up to Saramanda and pulled her down from her hanging position. The punch used in this attack wasn't as strong as the previous rising dragon, but it was faster and interrupted Saramanda's charge before she could attack. It looked like a sneak attack, but due to the difference in speed, it ended up being an ambush. This little injury doesn't mean anything. Saramanda pretended to be tough, but in reality, she had never experienced such a deadly injury in her entire life. As an Earth child, she had never been in such a miserable state even when facing the Fire Lizard King. Twice, she was hit and lost consciousness twice. If this were in a battlefield, even a troll would be in danger of dying. What kind of fist was that? Despite her petite figure, the speed, strength, and explosive power were unbelievably strong. Saramanda couldn't withstand a single punch. Apart from that nuclear explosion queen, probably no one in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order could withstand such a punch. Too fast. Too strong. Such a violent punch. The Troll clan's proud invincibility talent is like a punching bag in front of this kind of attack. Give me a little time. Saramanda gritted her teeth, holding onto her dislocated rib. Crack. A chilling sound. Saramanda forcefully pulled and aligned her deformed ribs, especially the one that was causing her to almost suffocate, piercing into her chest cavity. Then, wiping off her nosebleed, twisting her head and stomping her foot, she shouted loudly. Saramanda, she's back, they're all back. The Troll clan is so tough and amazing. It took about 30 seconds for Saramanda to regain her fighting ability, and then she glared at Yunshi in front of her. Come at me again, I don't believe you can't even take one move. Yes, Saramanda's goal has changed. She didn't even think about defeating Yunshi, but at least she wanted to take his punch. A troll who can't even take one punch is simply a shame to trolls. Sigh, this is meaningless. We are different. This is not Yunshi underestimating the Troll clan. If it was him before undergoing the trial of the stars, Saramanda could easily defeat him 100 times. In terms of pure strength, Saramanda alone can match hundreds of green-skinned hippos and kill a whole tribe of them without even blinking an eye. However, under the pressure of Teacher Cassina, the powerful battle god, Yunshi was no longer the ordinary person who had been crushed by a green-skinned hippo. A hero with half-god powers. The chosen child of the heavens. The last saint. These words can all describe the current Yunshi. Chapter 1094. Among humans, there are special individuals with a constitution that can be called miraculous or almost godlike. This constitution can come from the distant bloodline of ancestors, or it can be born from countless coincidental factors as a fantastic creation. Although he is clearly a human, he can possess the power of a red dragon. Even though they were human, they were able to cross the boundaries of life and death and complete 12 different trials. Even though they were human, they were able to accomplish the legendary feats that were celebrated in mythical stories, and defeat the terrifying dragon. In the endless gods' domain, humans, who were regarded as the standard measure of a race, possessed the greatest potential and radiated the brilliance of shining stars. At this moment, Yunshi was one of the stars that could shine in the endless gods' domain. Aside from the uncontrollable ultimate divine sword, the star wings, Yunshi could rival the demigod heroes of legendary stories solely with the power of their physical body and possess the ability to create legends. The fusion of a solid body and a soft body, combined with the tremendous energy released by the dragon jade in their chest, allowed Yunshi to surpass the limits of human capabilities in terms of speed, strength, and explosive power. Though they had lost 1/5 of their flesh and blood, it only slightly decreased Yunshi's maximum power, and their slender body could better utilize the characteristics of a soft body. The punch they just threw while taking a step forward was an experiment for Yunshi to adjust to their increased speed. The experimental results were close to perfection. The simple strength of the body decreased by 1/5, but agility and flexibility completely made up for this loss. Moreover, due to the characteristics of dragon blood and flesh, endurance has undergone astonishing changes. Previously, when using the strength of the body, the explosive force was indeed sufficient, but the amount of blood and energy consumed was astronomical. The terrifying crushing power of the body is based on the boiling blood and energy inside the body, which is one of the 3 great secrets of the red steel genre. Essentially, all of them are techniques that cause the blood and energy to surge. The strength decreased by 1/5, agility doubled, and more importantly, endurance increased by more than 3 times. The explosive force can be said to have increased rather than decreased. These are the data tested in actual combat by Yunshi and Saramanda, data that even surprised Yunshi himself. In fact, he can even feel that the potential of his body has not yet been fully unleashed. There is even more, a greater and more immense power hidden in this body, waiting to be discovered by him. Compared to the trial of the White Lotus secret treasure, the basic data of his body can be said to have made a huge leap, completely surpassing the limits of the human race. Saramanda's intuition is correct, the current Yunshi is just a small-headed dragon. His race value is already at the level of a dragon's data. If he breaks through to the hero-ranked state, maybe he can really have the ability to transform into a silver dragon. But even so, Yunshi hasn't reached his own threshold yet. This is the most terrifying thing. It means that Yunshi, just like his invincible childhood friend Huahua, still hasn't reached the perfect advanced state. Even the innate ability to transform into a dragon cannot meet the advanced requirements that Yunshi needs. I need to become stronger. Using Saramanda as a reference, Yunshi probably tested his individual combat power in Sia's world. Very strong, it should far exceed the hero-ranked level of this world. However, this is not something to be complacent about, because his true opponents are far more terrifying than all the hero-ranked individuals in this world combined. The dragon hunting chain that covers the entire world. The endless power came down from the star bridge in the sky. Their strength was so great that the power of the dragon was no match for them. With such ex-girlfriends, Yunshi would not be proud of his achievements and think he was a true strong person. Bang! The third punch was an inch punch. He closed the distance between himself and Saramanda, almost pushing himself into her embrace, using his shoulder to push away her giant axe, and then punching at close range. The sound of the heart completely stopping beating. The sound of the complete freezing of the flow of blood. The sound of the giant axe falling to the ground. In that moment, Saramanda's world turned into black and white. A big, red fire lizard looked at Saramanda with a gaze full of resentment, as if mocking her in the face of her present situation. Everything from Saramanda's 16 years of life appeared before her like a carousel. Since she was young, she was the strongest child in the tribe. While other children were still babbling at the age of 6 or 7 and couldn't even lift a proper stick, she had already grown to a height of 1 meter 60 and hunted in the forest carrying a wolf-toothed club taller than her own body. Her strength surpassed even that of adult trolls. By the age of 10, her fighting skills were already among the top 10 in the tribe. After killing the Fire Lizard King and taking its true name, she no longer had any opponents among the trolls. Even the elder heroes were unable to withstand the blows of her club and one by one became her defeated minions. Not a hero ranked, but even stronger than hero ranked, this is Saramanda, the troll clan's proudest prodigy. In her life, she almost never experienced defeat. No matter what kind of enemy she faced, she always managed to unleash greater power. Even if the odds were against her at first, she could turn the tables and secure victory. She was a natural-born troll genius, favored by the earth, a descendant of the ancient giant's fantastic lineage. Even a true dragon would have to fight her to truly know who is stronger. Saramanda had that kind of confidence. However, her confidence was shattered at this moment. It wasn't a dragon soaring through the sky, but a girl with beautiful silver hair who broke Saramanda's confidence and composure with just 3 punches. So, there are still monsters like this in the world. At the end of the carousel, Saramanda clearly saw how Yunshi landed 3 punches on herself, leading her into a state of death. Like a special slow-motion effect, her consciousness became unusually clear. The first punch, like a soaring dragon, smashed her divine weapon Crimson Dragon, then hit her chest around the area where her heart is, slightly towards the right. The second punch, like a speedy flash, even in slow motion, one could feel the speed and explosive power. In comparison, she felt as clumsy as a turtle. The third punch, like a surgical knife, accurately struck the convergence point of her chi and blood power, the most deadly punch. 3 punches, all hitting around her heart, on the left, right, and directly in the center. Almost smashing Saramanda's heart to pieces, it also came with additional effects. Saramanda, unable to resist, fell in love with this sensation. Chapter 1095, I'm sorry for breaking your equipment. It was the first time for Yunshi to fight in his current silver-haired state, and he had some minor control issues with his power. In the end, the 3 punches that hit Saramanda's chest almost completely destroyed her excellent dragon hide armor. This rare and precious armor from Sia's world now looked beyond repair. Equipment that gets damaged is not good equipment. Saramanda directly tore off the worn-out dragon hide armor and once again revealed her enormous peaks that made Yunshi almost have a nosebleed. Big. Very big. Too big. The overwhelming visual impact was so intense at such a close distance that it felt like a violent violation. Tell me. What do you want me to do? Can I do anything? Even if it means becoming your slave, it's not a problem. Being graceful in defeat is a fine quality of the troll clan. Despite their giant bloodline and their tradition of brawling with the heavens, the earth, and the air, they are actually very committed to their promises, unlike their rough appearance. This is different from the ancestral giants who are almost completely chaotic, so the trolls can be recognized by the Dragon clan and join the Leviathan faction, becoming the ace land force in the Leviathan faction. For the troll clan, becoming a slave who defeats their own people is not an unacceptable thing. In this world, only the strong deserve respect. If the captain of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order was not Queen Ain, who possessed the power of the Divine Era's forbidden spell, the Nuclear Blast Queen, there is no way the Troll clan would pledge their loyalty. There's no need for that. Yunshi shook his head. He wasn't some heinous tyrant, treating the girl who defeated him as a slave or anything. What kind of dark storyline was that? Then what do you want me to do? Saramanda persisted in her promise of defeat, and it seemed that Yunshi would not give up until she agreed to do something. Then, temporarily become my subordinate. Actually, even if Yunshi didn't say it, the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order founded by Ein also belonged to him. After all, the purpose of forming this Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order is to hatch the Silver Dragon egg. Alright, I will serve you. I will be your captain of the guard. From being a slave to becoming a subordinate, Saramanda expressed great satisfaction. As long as she could stay by the side of this silver-haired beauty, she didn't mind anything. There is no other reason. Being able to fight anytime, anywhere, and enjoy it is the greatest reward for the power-loving trolls. I am Saramanda, the warrior who defeated the Flame King. Saramanda proudly showed off her well-trained body. Even though her heart had stopped for 30 seconds, she quickly recovered and was back to being perfectly healthy. I know, the invincible Saramanda. Yunshi tried not to look at Saramanda, who had returned to her normal state, with her stunning figure that was almost criminally attractive. Tell me your name. Seeing the shy and charming look on the silver-haired girl in front of him, Saramanda felt even more excited. In the troll clan, there was definitely no girl like her, and she felt a growing interest awakening inside herself. I am Ash, Vice Captain of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. This was the identity that Yunshi and the sisters Ein and Adley had come up with after discussing. This country's former king's illegitimate child, borrowing this identity temporarily, having this identity would make many things much more convenient. Of course, since he was the prince of this country, there was no problem with also being the vice captain of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Oh, so you're the vice captain. Ash, that name sounds familiar somehow. Saramanda had no problem accepting the fact that Yunshi was the vice captain of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. The Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order is a good place because they are very powerful in battle and also very cute. However, Ash finds the name familiar, but she is not good at remembering human names, not even the names of the princesses from the Empire. Only a very important human can have a name that leaves an impression on her. Ash, I am Prince Yunshi of Sia Kingdom, Yunshi said again, trying to clear Saramanda's forgetful mind. Most girls from the troll clan are clumsy and inexperienced. This makes them pure-hearted and able to focus their minds on battle, but it also means they often have funny situations in their relationships with others. Until now, they still often get lost in this underground palace group. Ah, the prince. Ash, isn't this the name of the prince of this country? You and him have the same name, are you twins? Until now, Saramanda still couldn't figure out the true gender of the silver-haired beauty, who was so close to her. No. I am a prince, Yunshi sighed. This confusing appearance is really troublesome. What are you joking about? Clearly, you are a girl. Saramanda reached out her giant hand and grabbed Yunshi's towel. This sudden grab was completely unexpected and without any ill intent. Even Yunshi's fighting instincts didn't have time to react. Well, maybe the imposing presence of that huge mountain had a stronger effect. Just in that split second, Yunshi's towel slipped off, and Saramanda saw the weapon hidden underneath. Even though a fifth of his flesh and blood had been stripped away by mire, this part didn't look like a 14-year-old at all. Rather, it seemed to have grown even bigger, likely supported by the tremendous power of the seed of the battle god. Ah, you really are a prince, Saramanda stared in disbelief at that part, and then instinctively pinched it. Rising Dragon Yunshi angrily kicked Saramanda in the face. How can he still be a gentleman now? Got fully exposed. Did the roles reverse? Sorry. I never thought you were a prince. Saramanda obediently followed behind Yunshi, who was wearing his pajamas. She also repaired her tattered dragon skin armor. Don't tell anyone about what happened tonight. After experiencing a scene where both of them were naked and facing each other, Yunshi finally realized something. It's pointless to argue with idiots. Saramanda couldn't fully understand what had just happened and what it meant. The education of a lady is a long and difficult journey. However, you look beautiful even without clothes. This is really a situation where one problem arises after another. Yunshi is desperate about the troll clan's sex education level. Shame and such things simply don't exist. No matter if Yunshi appears as a male or female in her eyes, there is no difference in appearance. Chapter 1096. The next morning, Yunshi chose a robe in the Divine Era Tower that looked most like a masculine style. It was his first public appearance in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order and in this world. So cute, where did this beautiful girl come from? Roland, is she the princess of your empire? Her aura is astonishing. No, our generation doesn't have such outstanding people. The noble daughters of the empire and the kingdom's nobility had sparkling eyes, discussing one by one about this prestigious young lady, or maybe a princess. That beautiful and noble demeanor clearly indicates that she is definitely not from a common background, even the simplest village girl can see that. With snow-white skin, eyes as clear as gemstones, and silver hair flowing like silver threads, along with a magical robe in the style of the Divine Era, she looks just like a princess from a legend. Silver hair, so rare, which race does she belong to? It smells just like a holy relic. So powerful, definitely a fantasy race. The girls from the Leviathan faction unanimously agreed that she is not human, they believe she is the embodiment of a silver dragon. Regardless of their faction, everyone agreed that she is a mysterious and noble beauty, no one thought of her as a male. Without even using his eavesdropping ability, Yunshi could hear these enthusiastic discussions, causing a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. Asha, this must be your curse, it's so terrifying. Did I choose the wrong curse from the 4 unavoidable curses? Unfortunately, there is no regret medicine in this world to take, and no chance to choose again. In this trial of Sia's world, I can only brace myself and face it head-on. Come on. Come on. Saramanda, who successfully became the captain of Prince Ash's guard, waved her hands enthusiastically. Her towering height of 3 meters made her stand out in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order. Ahem. Maybe it's the first time you all are seeing me. My name is Ash, the prince of this country. Standing in front of all the members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, Yunshi tried to recall his confident appearance as the White Emperor of Water God's world. His expression gradually became more confident. Yes, it's only the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order with a total of about 3,000 people. He has led the army of 1,000,000 brides, so there is no reason why he can't do it. Believe in yourself, believe in the person who married 1,000,000 brides, you, Yunshi. After this introduction, everyone in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order was shocked, except for Saramanda, who already knew the truth, and Ain and Adley, who stood behind Yunshi. The prince? I didn't hear it wrong, she said she is the prince. You fool, it's not her, it's him. But this is so strange. This is the prince. The girls in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order were confused and couldn't understand what was happening. It turned out that Saramanda, who mistook Yunshi's gender in Aquarius Palace, wasn't foolish after all. It was just that Yunshi's current appearance was too different. Even though Yunshi wore a masculine style, with red ribbons and a mage robe similar to a cardinal's, he still gave the impression of an exceptional mysterious beauty. The girls of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order looked up, down, left, right, but they couldn't tell if this girl, with skin as white as fresh snow and mysterious silver long hair, who was around the same age as them, was really a prince. Could it be that in this country, they have a custom of calling a princess a prince? But in history, it was clear that in the kingdom, the custom was for princes to wear girls' clothing and be raised as princesses. This custom even continues in the noble families of the kingdom and empire to this day. Ah! Looking at the stunned faces of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order below, Yunshi couldn't help but cover his face and sigh. This appearance really isn't convincing at all. But he's clearly a boy, not pretending to be a girl. He really is a boy. Asha's curse is so terrifying to the point that it can make people mistake his gender. Adding to that, there are certain details that he unconsciously developed while disguised as a great sword maid. Now, it's impossible to wash away his disguise even if he jumps into the Yellow River. No need to doubt, this is my brother, who is about a month older than me but from a different mother. In the end, the queen, who was about to explode, came out to save the situation, and it made Yunshi breathe a sigh of relief. His prince career almost failed before it even started. Is he really a prince, of divine era lineage? Who is his mother? Is it possible to have such pure divine era heritage in this era? Could it be someone from another continent? The queen came forward to support and finally made the girls from the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order believe in Yunshi's prince identity. Indeed, only those with the purest divine era bloodline, descendants of the legendary Sia's divine sword, can possess such perfect posture and charm. In the past, the dragons acknowledged humans as worthy of wearing the continental crown, specifically those with the divine era bloodline who possessed fragments of the creator god's sword Sia. In that generation, many humans had demigod bloodlines, and among those who possessed the 12 constellation gods' weapons, they were considered the decisive forces in battles against the dragons. It is because of the presence of the Sia bloodline that humans obtained the power to repel dragons. The true source of the human divine era bloodline lies in the blessings of the creator god's sword. The purest divine era bloodline is rarely seen in males. The princess knights from the Leviathan Empire exchanged glances and saw the burning desire in each other's eyes. To have a divine era bloodline that is so close to being identical to Sue's, I can't believe my eyes, said Princess Roland, the representative of the Leviathan Empire camp. Even Ayn, who is known as the first queen of the continent, doesn't possess such a pure divine era bloodline. Roland had only seen such overflowing magical power in history books that documented the origins of the divine era, where the skin was flawlessly snowy white and even the hair began to glow faintly. It is a characteristic possessed only by the true human ancestors, the first generation of the Sia people. Humans of gold. The original ancestors. Children of Sia. Celestials. In various legends, they are surrounded by countless halos. That is the origin of this world's civilization, holding the 12 constellation gods' weapons and creating the legend of the human era. Although there were only 12 people, all human bloodlines come from these 12 heavenly beings. Why, in this weakened era of magic, would the nearly extinct bloodline of the first generation Sia appear? Do you know that your appearance in this world will drive the old men of the Imperial Senate crazy? Ash, the prince. Chapter 1097. As per normal genetic inheritance, the ancient ancestors' bloodlines would gradually weaken over time. This is the law of nature. The original golden 12 heavenly beings, each possessing the 12 constellation gods' weapons of the celestial path, were the ancestors of all humans and Sia's kin. They were the ones who founded the divine era and ignited the flame of civilization. The glory of the entire divine era in Sia's world originated from them. The bloodline of celestial beings, also recognized as the legitimate royal lineage of humans, once completely ruled this continent during its most prosperous period. Hundreds of hero-ranked strong individuals were born during that time. The current Sia Kingdom and Leviathan Empire are remnants of that era. The legitimate inheritance of the Sia Kingdom comes from a branch of the 12 constellations bloodlines. The warlock lineage is considered the legitimate one, guarding the ancient divine era tower. The founding emperor of the Leviathan Empire took a different approach, maximizing the power of knights and establishing the current number 1 empire on the continent. Both the Sia Kingdom and Leviathan Empire acknowledge the existence of pure divine era bloodlines. It is very easy to distinguish the bloodline of the original celestial beings. Regardless of gender, they possess exquisite appearances, immense strength, flawless bodies with quick healing abilities. They are naturally gifted with the ability to use various types of divine era magic. The closer their bloodline is to the ancient origins, the more apparent these traits become. Adley, a super warlock with innate celestial bloodline, is the best proof of this purity. However, there is no one as clearly manifest as Yunshi. The magic overflowed so much that even the strands of hair shimmered with a gentle glow, perfect like the pure white skin of a human, and with a face that almost had no discernible gender. Of all the things, only one answer can explain it. That was the original celestial bloodline, the Golden People, the child of Sia, possessing the characteristics of the ancient ancestors. Comparable to the mighty dragons, they were the strongest human bloodline in the beginning. Since the divine era, a phenomenon that had never appeared before, a skipping generations inheritance. This kind of bloodline purification phenomenon, even in the magic tide of the prosperous divine era, was only a legend, with recorded examples numbering no more than a handful. It is said that during that era, several examples of awakened celestial bloodline all stood at the peak of their respective times, and a few of them inherited the constellation gods' weapons from their ancestors. The brave hero. The wise sage. Holy girl. Dragon knight. The king of undead. Whether they are on the side of justice or evil, they have displayed talents that people can only dream of, as if they were the embodiment of Sia's will, achieving their own legendary reputations. Roland knew these records, and so did Ayn. In Roland's eyes, the silver-haired prince was a miracle of life. In Ayn's eyes, where her gaze fell was a fantasy greater than the legendary celestial beings. While only Yunshi himself didn't know what kind of fantasies the people of this world had about his silver dragon form. The immense magic overflowing automatically is actually an uncontrolled manifestation of the flesh and blood belonging to star-hunting dragon Mumu Narabel within his body. That means, this is actually a curse from one of my former girlfriends, Asha. By chance, the outward appearance of this world and its inhabitants are similar, which simply means that in the rules of endless God's domain, perfection is alike. Actually, Yunshi is even more outstanding than the inhabitants of this world, because 1/5 of his body is made up of the flesh blessed by the supreme dragon god, Mumu Narabel, who is a star-hunting dragon. This is a blessing, as well as a curse, specifically imprinted as an exclusive mark on Starchild's body. Yunshi is still very unfamiliar with the characteristics of this body. So, when he noticed the members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order whispering to each other and occasionally mentioning words like, Divine Era Bloodline, 100%, oh my god, and so on, he was completely confused. Where does this disguised prince have any Divine Era bloodline? It's simply not the same thing, okay? So, starting from today, Ash will be the vice captain of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order, the only special presence in this Divine Era tower. Everyone, do you understand? Ayn clapped her hands and looked at Yunshi with expectant eyes. This Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order was built especially for you, the Great One. Lord Silver Dragon, what changes will you bring to this world? Nevertheless, everyone here will change the world with you at the center. Understood. The first to raise their hands were the Princess Knights from the Leviathan Empire. Even though they didn't inherit the true Divine Era bloodline, it is because of this that what is unattainable will always be the best. The Senate of the Empire has an abnormal obsession with the Empire's bloodline. The difference in bloodline within the Empire is even more severe than in the Sia Kingdom, and this trend has only grown stronger from the first founding emperor until now. Surnames, families, ancestors, these things are crucial in the aristocratic mindset of the empire. The grudge of the first founding emperor remains the empire's biggest regret until now. The real Divine Era bloodline is the dream that the whole Leviathan Empire seeks. Unfortunately, this dream has never been fulfilled from the first emperor until now. The Divine Era bloodline inheritance of the Sia Kingdom has extraordinary secrets that even the founding emperor of the Leviathan Empire, known as the greatest knight in the continent, never had access to. Until today, the mystery of the ancient bloodline hidden in the Sia kingdom seems to have finally been revealed. Ash, from the moment he truly appeared on this stage, was destined to shock the entire continent. Even the rare inheritance reversion phenomenon in the divine era, the perfect celestial bloodline, and even more rare, a male. Among the several inheritance reversion phenomena recorded in the divine era, a male only appeared once, while the others were mostly females, and most remained unmarried for life. That one male inheritance reversion ultimately created several large families and several wielders of the constellation god's weapons, which can be said to have changed the landscape of the divine era. Now, it seems like a miracle is happening again. The bloodline of the celestial beings, after thousands of years, once again appeared on the continent. This seems to be some kind of sign. It's easy to imagine why this illegitimate child is being protected so well. His very existence is a symbol, a hope. The power of the celestial bloodline is extremely magical. It can even cross the barriers between species and give birth to powerful offspring. At the same time, there won't be any bloodline issues caused by close relatives. Chapter 1098. In the records about the first humans, those 12 human ancestors were actually brothers and sisters, with 4 males and 8 females. These 12 individuals combined and gave birth to hundreds and thousands of second-generation humans, also known as the Silver Humans, who are the ancestors of all human branches today. The humans of the Silver Age established the outline of human civilization throughout the entire continent. From the beginning times of tribes, the era of slaves, all the way to the magic era. During this time, the golden ancestors gradually passed away, and the silver humans inherited the constellation god's weapons. While continuously multiplying, they began to glimpse at the thrones of the dragons on the continent. It is said that the relationship between the humans of the Golden Age and the dragons was actually quite good. Due to their small numbers, although they had strong individual strength, they didn't pose a threat to the dragons. The earliest period traced back in the ancient ruins in the continent related to the divine era is the period of the golden humans. The period of multiplication is very long. The dragons, who take hundreds of years to reproduce a descendant, never expected how terrifying the speed of human reproduction is. In the time it takes for the dragons to take a nap, the number of humans can double or even more. The humans who possessed the Sia god weapon were not satisfied with being under the dragons. They relied on their huge population and the power of the remaining golden ancient people. They launched a war to compete for the domination of the continent against the dragons. The result of the war was that the dragons ultimately withdrew from the continent, and those few strongest golden humans fell one by one in the war. They, who were hailed as demigods, ultimately could not escape the inevitable cycle of birth, aging, illness, and death. Perhaps the war against the dragons was the final outcome they chose for their own lives. Now, the golden age of humans has completely ended, and the silver age has begun. In this era, individual human strength has become more equal and civilization has reached its peak. The 12 heavenly beings of the Golden Age had enviable lifespans of thousands of years. They even possessed some characteristics of fantasy creatures and never aged until their death. They were called demigods, the ancestors of humans, the original humans. Their influence lasted until the last person fell in the war with the dragons. The bloodline of the 12 individuals continued to be passed down among humans from the divine era until the death of the last person, spanning thousands of years of the Silver Age. Afterwards, there were occasional occurrences of atavism, where humans with the bloodline of the demigods awakened. They were seen as chosen ones of their era and left behind many legends. Even the girls from the villages in the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order knew about the legends of the human ancestors, their perfect and forever youthful appearance. It was the fantasy of every girl. At this moment, this fantasy came to life before them. How could they not get excited, each one filled with anticipation? So, you're a heavenly being. That makes sense. Saramanda wrinkled her nose. She should have known earlier that the origin of human bloodline was a fantasy that could rival the dragon lineage of the Leviathan faction. The half-god body, Sia's miracle, and even more unknown secrets. Actually, the dragon clan had intermarried with the golden humans. Because the original humans were the only species in this world that could ignore species barriers, even dragons could get pregnant. Ahem, it is said, but it's just hearsay. Many monster races in the Leviathan faction have partial human appearance, and they seem to have some unclear relationship with a few of the 12 individuals. For example, Lamia, and Lamia. Even the origin of the troll clan seems to have some connection with these magical beings. Normal giants won't give birth to trolls, the short descendants. If we delve into this further, there will be many questionable issues worth discussing. Well, these questions won't be recorded in human history books anyway. Anyway, those first human ancestors did a lot of things in a messy way. The original bloodline is really special, probably the only rare bloodline in the world that can rival dragons. I really didn't expect there to still be an original bloodline. Miraz sniffed the magic-filled air, and the presence of the fairy butterflies constantly flocking around the silver-haired young man explained it. Fairy butterflies, these creatures, are very picky fantasy beings that only get close to the purest bloodlines. The original bloodline of humans is also the only known special bloodline that can transcend racial restrictions. There are examples in history of intermarriage with many different races. The inheritance of the sacrificial bloodline within the Lamia clan seems to be, sorry, that's something that can't be said. With such a strong aura, could it be? Princess Heidi of the Mermaid clan seemed to have figured something out. The original bloodline of humans is a bloodline that can create miracles. Well, no matter what they think, the fact that Yunshi has the celestial bloodline won't change. Even if Yunshi has no idea what the celestial bloodline is, if he knew the significance of the bloodlines of celestial beings in this world, he definitely wouldn't pretend to be this cursed prince. Chirp chirp. The girls from the wilderness tribe gathered together and started whispering. With the title of Wilderness Bride, their gaze at Yunshi became unusually intense. Whether they were from the human camp or the Leviathan faction, all the members of the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order had no doubts about Yunshi's royal identity. Yunshi, with his perfect human bloodline, could only be born in the royal family of the Sia Kingdom, which guards the most perfect Divine Era relics. This miracle can be compared to the Divine Era Tower itself. Many of them even suspect that only in this Divine Era Tower can the most perfect bloodline of the earliest humans be born. Thank you. Yunshi sincerely thanked Ain, who endorsed his disguised identity. However, he completely failed to notice the warmth in Ain's eyes at that moment. Brother. Adley raised her teddy bear excitedly. Now she also has a brother starting from today. For the royal family of the Sia Kingdom, the word brother has a special meaning. As the last legitimate descendant of Sia from the Divine Era, the Sia royal family is devoted to maintaining the purity of their bloodline, and thus, they highly value intermarriage within their own family. Ain and Adley's parents, who are also known as brother and sister. Well, for little Adley, the term brother actually means future spouse, someone they will marry just like their own parents, with a very close bond. Ain also feels the same way. Marrying close relatives is a tradition in the Sia royal family. Chapter 1099 Yunshi, who knows nothing about this, thinks that being called brother means having a pure sibling relationship with Ain and Adley. Well, in a way, he's not entirely wrong. The sibling relationship in the Sia royal family has always been pure, just like Ain and Adley's parents. The next day, Prince Ash appeared, bringing news about the rare celestial bloodline from the Divine Era Tower. In a continent where there are only a few stray cats left with divine era bloodline, you can imagine the shock caused by this news. What? The royal family also has a prince who is an illegitimate child. Duke Parbad, belonging to the royal family of Sia Kingdom, opened his eyes wide and almost couldn't catch his breath. How is this possible? He knows exactly how many members the royal family has, not to mention the branches of the ancient royal bloodline inherited by the empire, all of which are recorded in the family tree. Pure divine era bloodline, or a diluted celestial bloodline passed down through generations. What a joke. The previous king was a very faithful person. He only had one queen from beginning to end, adhering to the tradition of quality over quantity, and even sacrificed his own life to give birth to the sisters Ain and Adley. They didn't disappoint, both inherited the warlock bloodline passed down since the Divine Era, and gained recognition from the Divine Era Tower. However, there has never been a case of passing down the diluted bloodline in the history of the Sia royal family. The legitimate Sia royal family, inheriting the Virgin Palace bloodline, although it has also combined with other Divine Era bloodlines, even through incestuous marriage, it is impossible to restore the bloodline power to that level, okay? The birth of Ain and Adley was already a miracle in the Sia Kingdom's royal family. Where did this prince named Ash come from? Duke Parbad instinctively felt that there was a problem, a big problem. Based on his understanding of the previous king, there wouldn't be any illegitimate child. What is his lovely niece up to? Prince Ash, huh? Count Gasper, who had recently made a name for himself in the mainland trade union with 3 original Divine Era books offered as tribute to Princess Adley, tapped the table and wore a pensive expression. In our intelligence, did the previous king have a lover? No, the previous king was very fond of his sister, the queen, and never had any close relations with other women. The intelligence officer reporting to Count Gasper shook their head. As the king of a country, the previous king was a respected ruler, diligent and benevolent, almost like a perfect knight. The Sia royal knights led by him would not have suffered such a terrible defeat if they hadn't faced opponents from another era. The magic armor developed by the Leviathan Empire was too powerful on the battlefield. Even so, in the final battle, the Royal Knights managed to destroy many Tiger-type mass-produced machines. It was not until the 3 titled machines entered the scene that the era of knights came to an end. Of course, no one expected that Princess Ain would retaliate with a nuclear explosion just a few days later and be given the title Nuclear Explosion Queen. Prince Ash is said to have pure celestial bloodline, Count Gasper thought. It was truly a priceless treasure of this era. The celestial bloodline has a special characteristic, which is the ability to greatly enhance the purity of the next generation's bloodline. This fact has been known by everyone since the Divine Era began. The human race is a civilized race that descended from 12 celestial beings. The first generation of the Silver People even had abilities close to those of the Golden People. They called themselves the Golden Children and laid the foundation for the civilization of the continent. With the everlasting youth characteristics of the Golden name, they have always led their descendants. Even though the generations are mixed up, all the descendants revolve around them and ignite the spark of civilization in this world. It was not until the last member of the celestial bloodline died in the war against the Dragon Clan that the golden bloodline of humans was completely cut off. This marked the beginning of a long Silver Age. In the Silver Age, there was a small revival of the golden bloodline, thanks to the alternate generation inheritor who held the title of Dragon Knight. This individual once again achieved the greatness of the ancestors of humanity. As for why this person was given the title of Dragon Knight, well, it's because their hobbies and interests were similar to those of the ancestors from the Divine Era. They were a powerful individual who was passionate about interacting with different races and even had a giant dragon as their mount, with whom they were deeply in love. They rode dragons during the day and at night, and they were open to relationships with females of all races. They left behind thousands of descendants, fully inheriting the characteristics of the 4 golden ancestral humans. They were active for approximately 1,000 years and are considered one of the ancestors of the bloodline families that exist on the continent today. They made a significant impact on the history of Sia's world. Now, a new celestial bloodline has emerged. This is fantastic news for those ancient families whose bloodline powers are almost disappearing. Count Gasper can easily imagine how popular this prince will be in the future. People who want to restore their own ancient family heritage, people who want to create a brand new lineage, people who want to revive the glory of the divine era. Inside here, you can make money. Count Gasper made a decision to bet on this Prince Ash. No matter the cost. They also want to climb aboard this great ship that has an endless bright future. The winds of change have come. His Majesty, Ludwig XII, the Emperor of the Leviathan Empire, angrily smashed his own cup. There are actually people in this world with divine blood. Isn't that ancient thing, a legendary story of the divine era? In the weakened modern era of Magic Tide, how could there still be those with the original divine era lineage appearing? Who can tell me what exactly is going on? Those Senate bastards, they are in big trouble now. As the emperor of an empire that values science, Ludwig XII now feels that everything that has happened recently is completely unscientific. Firstly, his niece suddenly mastered the ultimate forbidden spell of the divine era, and obliterated his first magic army legion that he had worked tirelessly to build, forcing him to send his beloved Princess Roland as a hostage as compensation. Then even the world's first golden bloodline appeared. Could it be an illegitimate child? Knowing his stubborn relatives so well, it would be a huge joke if he had an illegitimate child, being a lifelong Siscon. Even if there were an illegitimate child, it would be his sister's illegitimate child. He must have a hidden sister that nobody knows about. Chapter 1100. Thinking back to the past, he and the former king of the kingdom were actually distant cousins, having studied together in an academy. In those days, the relationship between the two countries was in a honeymoon period, and intermarriage was a very common occurrence. He vividly remembered how uncomfortable and restless he felt when he first laid eyes on his cousin, who was the first princess of the Sia kingdom at that time. The first crown prince of the empire, the first prince of the kingdom, and the first princess were actually very good friends in private. And he had a secret crush on his cousin, and he planned to propose to her after he became the emperor of the empire. He was the emperor of the empire, and she was the princess of the kingdom. They were considered cousins according to the family tree, and their identities and status matched perfectly. The most important thing was that he fell in love with her at first sight. Love at first sight is truly amazing. In order to become an emperor worthy of her, he studied hard and often invited his cousins to his house as guests. It was a beautiful time that is deeply cherished. Little did he know, before he could propose, the two of them got married and left him, the future emperor of the empire, feeling lost and confused. But you two are actually blood-related siblings. What happened to the good old brother-in-law? How did he become the enemy who stole his own bride? No wonder, from the beginning he felt that this pair of siblings were really too close. It turns out that this pair is not just ordinary childhood friends, but something more. The emperor, who had dog food smeared on his face, finally made up his mind to forget about this failed first love and started studying hard. He aspired to become the greatest emperor in the history of the empire. He married the empress, who came from a powerful noble family, and several other concubines. He ignored the objections of the Senate and provided resources to alchemists and scholars to develop a terrifying killing machine called the magic armor. This paved the way for the empire to expand and conquer. The invasion of Sia Kingdom was due to the fact that in their treasury, there were essential resources for making magic armor entitled machine cores, treasures that alchemists had been longing for. When he heard the news of the former king and queen's death in battle, he was momentarily lost and saddened. However, as the emperor, he was no longer the young man who would lose himself in love at first sight. The emperor carried the future of the empire, the power of a new era called science. He started this era, created powerful weapons like never before, and is even about to change the whole world. For the emperor of Leviathan Empire, the love affairs of his children are a thing of the past. The current him is accumulating strength and even sacrifices his most outstanding daughter, Roland, by sending her as a hostage to the Holy Silver Dragon Knight Order of the Kingdom. Even though Ein has mastered the power of the nuclear explosion forbidden spell, the Emperor still believes that the direction of the times has not changed. Human life is ultimately limited. Even the golden ancestors only lived for thousands of years. Even if Ein possesses the power of the nuclear explosion forbidden spell, how long can he protect the kingdom? As long as Ein is dealt with, the kingdom will still be a prize for the Empire. Even if this generation cannot get rid of Ein, the next generation, and the generation after that, the Emperor will ultimately let the power of science triumph over everything. Moreover, the power of a nuclear explosion is not necessarily something exclusive to Ein. In the historical records, the first mention of nuclear explosions was during the end of the Divine Era by an alchemy warlock called Field. He didn't know how his niece, Ein, mastered the ultimate forbidden spell of nuclear explosions, but since she could control it, the Leviathan Empire, with its entire scientific system, might also be able to master this power. Humans, after all, have shorter lifespans and are not like the mythical dragons. The Leviathan Empire, with its scientific system, will definitely have the last laugh. The Emperor firmly believed in this. Unless Ein can surpass the limits of being a hero-ranked individual and become an eternal immortal legend, which is impossible. This era of weakened magic tides is destined to belong to the age of science. If there was even a slight possibility, the mages of the past would not have despaired and ended their traditions, becoming alchemy warlocks and scholars who no longer relied on magic. Who would have thought that the Sia kingdom had such a hidden card, and his lovely niece, Ein, possessed this ability? How could something like genetic inheritance across generations appear in this era? Celestial bloodline, giving this Prince Ash 100 years, is he another Dragon Knight? Call Asmid, Poinkar, come here. Rubbing his forehead, Ludwig XII decides to listen to his advisors once again, the core members of the Academy of Sciences. Asmid, the most outstanding alchemical warlock of this era, the spiritual leader of the ancient magician guild artisan faction, inheriting the alchemical research techniques of the Divine Era magicians, and the director of the magic armor construction project. Poinkar, the most outstanding mathematician of this era, the leader of the ancient magician guild theoretical faction, inheriting the Divine Era magicians' understanding of the world and their deconstruction spells, and the initiator of the magic armor construction project. These two people are the leaders of the alchemical warlocks and scholars respectively, and are also the right and left hands of Ludwig XII. After the complete end of the Divine Era, when the world entered the period of magic tide decline, the magicians who were once only one step away from reaching the stars fell to the ground. Some of them escaped into the sunless underground cemetery, attempting to endure the period of magic decline through self-sealing, waiting for the magic-rich period to reappear in an unknown era. The other group lost their ability to cast spells but remained on the surface, splitting into two factions. One faction became alchemical warlocks through their research and manufacturing of various sophisticated machinery, while the other faction began conducting purely theoretical research that doesn't require magical support, becoming scholars. Both factions, having lost their magical powers, were once persecuted by the knights who still possessed great strength. Knights, who used to be servants and protectors of the mages, unexpectedly became the main protagonists in an era of weakened magic, vying for dominance. A few Divine Era bloodline warlocks, who relied on the power of their bloodlines to cast spells, gathered together and chose the only well-preserved Divine Era tower as their holy land. They established Sia Kingdom. Once powerful wizards who held high positions, They were completely cast down from their lofty status and could no longer rely on the power of their bloodline to perform magic. They also lost the ability to tap into the forces of the world. They were persecuted to the point where their lineage was almost wiped out. In the end, it was Ludwig I who took in these desperate alchemist warlocks and scholars because Ludwig himself was a rebel, not accepting being the first knight of the Sia Kingdom warlock bloodline lineage. Ludwig I at that time probably didn't imagine that the current Leviathan Empire would embark on a development path called science. Chapter 1101 Asmid, the representative of the alchemical warlock faction Leviathan Empire, was a middle-aged man with a physique different from that of a wizard. Standing close to 2 meters tall, with muscles that resembled marble, he looked like a mythical strongman, his golden sideburns glistening in the sun. In contrast, Poinkar, the representative of the scholars, embodied the image everyone had of noble academics. With an elegant monocle, meticulously groomed gray hair, and a trim figure, even though he was over 50, he could still elicit squeals from young girls. This was the result of historical evolution. The former wizards who had lost their ability to cast spells, aside from those who had sealed themselves in the underground cemetery, the remaining factions took completely different paths. The alchemical warlocks set aside their staves and picked up hammers, focusing on creating weapons and equipment for the knights who roamed the battlefield. They also worked hard on researching various war machines that didn't require magic. The scholars, on the other hand, devoted themselves wholeheartedly to serving the royal family, while continuing their research on the truths of the world, advancing in the fields of theoretical mathematics, astronomy, and physics. The leaders of the two factions of this generation gathered under Ludwig XII. By combining the practical abilities of the alchemical warlocks and the wisdom of the scholars, they finally created a monster called the magic armor. This was a big step in the history of science. War was always the most powerful tool to promote the development of civilization. The descendants of magicians who lost their magical powers were able to stand on the grand stage of history again, but this time using science. Your Majesty, Ludwig, did you call us? The latest titled machine is about to be completed, but there are still some issues with the drivers. Asmid proudly stroked his beard. The titled machine is the ultimate embodiment of the magic armor system, with power surpassing that of ordinary hero-ranked warriors. It is the ace of the entire Leviathan Empire. Every addition of a titled machine means another ace added to Leviathan's deck. Regarding the issue of mental and will contamination, we still don't have a perfect solution, but we have made some progress. We need more hero-ranked knights as test subjects. Poinkar's voice was deep and magnetic, addressing the current biggest problem. I know all this, but that's not the biggest problem now. Ludwig XII threw 2 intelligence reports, which contained urgent information from the Princess Knights sent to the Empire at lightning speed. Inside, there were the most detailed information about Prince Ash so far. Ash age, around 14 years old. Ethnicity, celestial bloodline, known as the Golden Name, inherited through generations. Father, former king of the Sia Kingdom. Mother, unknown. Height, weight, measurements, kept secret. Hobbies, seems to be fond of Princess Adley, gained complete loyalty from the troll clan Saramanda. Personality, calm and has a strong affinity, unknown strength. Position, captain of the Holy Silver Dragon Knights Order Vice, next in line to inherit the Sia Kingdom. Not mentioning the other details, just the line about their ethnicity as celestial bloodline is enough to make the pupils of the descendant mages Asmid and Poinkar shrink. Impossible. How could there be such a strong inheritance across generations in the weakened era of Magic Tide? Asmid almost tore apart the documents in front of him. If the original bloodline of the Divine Era could be born during the weakened period of Magic Tide, these former mages would not have given up the path of magic so despairingly and turned to science. In theory, this phenomenon is impossible. Poinkar tapped on the documents. He wouldn't question the data given to them by the Emperor, but he was trying to deduce the possibility from a theoretical standpoint. However, no matter how many times he deduced with his genius mind, he couldn't find any basis to support the birth of the original bloodline of the divine era. During the period of magic tide decline, the reproduction and birth rates of all magical creatures were continuously decreasing, and many races had even completely disappeared from Sia's world. Even the dragon clan, who used to be at the top of the pyramid, had completely retreated and practically gave up their crown in the oceans. Similarly, humans who had lost their magical powers no longer had the ability to wage wars like in the Divine Era. Both the Sia camp and the Leviathan faction were experiencing a great decline during the period of magic tide decline. As the inheritor of mage wisdom, Poinkar, whose talents were enough to earn him the title of sage in the Divine Era, understood the problems better than anyone else. Poinkar, my dear friend, didn't you tell me that even without doing anything, the Divine Era bloodline would still come to an end? Ludwig XII looked at his newest court sage, Poinkar, the most remarkable mathematician of the era. His theories, combined with Asmod's genius technology, propelled the advancement of science and created a war weapon called the magic armor, instantly elevating the Leviathan Empire to the world's top ranking. He wanted to know what explanation the almost inevitable forbidden spell mage Poinkar, born in the Divine Era, would give him. Indeed, it is the trend of the world's development. As long as we are in the period of magic tide decline, any extraordinary bloodline will continuously weaken. Poinkar had no doubt about his theory. This is the conclusion unanimously reached by all scholars since the end of the Divine Era, just like the ebb and flow of natural rules. The accumulation of our observed results confirms this conclusion. The Leviathan's breathing cycle has not encountered any issues. This era belongs to science. The breathing cycle of Leviathan, the wizards in the later Divine Era and the modern scholars observe the world rules, which is the essence of magic tide. Legend has it that the land and oceans of this world are formed from the corpses of Leviathan killed by the creator god's sword, Sia. The so-called high tide of magic is believed by wizards to be the breath of Leviathan's world-breathing stage, where Leviathan the sky beast instinctively releases magic power. During this stage, all kinds of fantasies constantly appear. At first, there were dragons, then giants, followed by more types of fantasy, and finally, humans appeared. These humans are not modern humans, but the ancestors of the human race, the 12 demigods with primal bloodlines. Throughout the early and middle periods of the Divine Era, they were in the high tide of magic. The humans that eventually appeared developed the civilization of magic to an unprecedented level, even beginning to explore the ultimate power of nuclear explosions. Then, the decline of the magic tide arrived. Wizards began to lose their powers, all extraordinary bloodlines grew weaker, and even the dragon at the top of the pyramid was not an exception. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.